Good evening, Lancers Runeterra community. We have our very first Eternal Tournament. It has been so long since I've been able to touch Eternal cards. I don't know about you, Kai, but I've been having a blast. And personally, I've been hitting up Anivia every day at around like 2 p.m. when I'm on break. I'm just Anivia. Talk to me, Kai. Now that Eternal's out and about and we have it, thoughts, feelings, decks that you like that you're playing?
I mean, I'm just happy to have Talia's Ziggs back personally. It is my favorite deck. It's the highest mastery deck that I've had, and I haven't really had anything to kind of fill in that void ever since it went. And so, of course, that's what I've been jamming mostly on Eternal Ladder as of late. And surprisingly, or maybe not so surprisingly, with this new patch and everything, been running into a lot of aggro, which thankfully I've been able to handle pretty well overall. But I'm afraid that it's also been a bit of a detriment for some other cards, some other decks and stuff, which we could talk about matchups and everything all day. But we do have a match to get right into right now, which is Annie Katarina up against Jack Twisted Fate. Both of them running Bandle City as their secondary region. And I want to know, and we are in game number 3 just because of the way that this one started off. From your perspective, what are these decks trying to do, and which one is more likely to have like a better late game finish?
Oh man. I mean, from what it seems like both of these are kind of like that Bilgewater. I mean, I guess I can't really say Bilgewater. I guess more it's like ping control, I want to call it, since we're both running Bandle City, we're running Bilgewater and Noxus, which tend to be two regions that do really well with kind of ping control decks. In this case, we're seeing Yi with a very strong deck board right now. I don't even know where this unit came from. I believe it came from Yordle Contraption, which gives you two multi-region followers. That's a lot of damage they're about to see. In terms of the late game finish, I want to give it to Noxus because if I'm not mistaken, if I'm going to take a look at the decks real quick, I believe Yi is running a condensed deck that has Ravenbloom Conservatory. And I can confirm we got 2 condenses and Ravenbloom Conservatory. And so kind of the goal of the deck is to get Tibok down, right? Turn 5, turn 6, whatever the case may be. And you move forward with that, get a huge finish off. In this case, right, we just had the simple board strength and flew through it. So I believe that was game 3. We're going to go ahead and find another match. In the meantime, what are you thinking about the new cards that came out and how they are kind of influencing these decks that we know so well? Because I know Annie Katarina used to be paired with Bilgewater, right? It had a lot of pings. We had the Make Your Veins. We were able to kind of do what we need to do in that region. And now it seems to have shifted over to Bandle City, which I know it seems that the developers have kind of made it this, okay, we kind of manifest our answers, and it tends to have a lot of pings in it, right? We have Pytos. Pytos is a good card.
Yeah. I think that when we consider the new cards that have been brought into Legends of Runeterra, Condense has been seen in many applications across both Standard and Eternal. Of course, we do see in the Annie Katarina list, which we saw very briefly, there was a surrender that went out at the end of the match because the board strength is too much. And I believe it was, but just double checking my players here, it was infinipatrons that had to surrender it because they were down to 5 HP up against a list that has a lot of poke and pings to face, not exactly burn, but it is like a shorter form of burn overall. But Condense has been seen in a lot of decks, and I think it has come out, at least in this first week, as the ultimate winner of the cards that we have seen come out of this expansion, specifically because of how it's able to, in that aggro matchup, you copy T-Bulk, or in that ping matchup, you copy T-Bulk. In the matchup that you're running more in the sense of Mirror Mage with that Beguiling Cobra Mirror Mage meme deck that's kind of floating around that also just kind of blows you out, you run that onto Mirror Mage, and Mirror Mage just copies everything 5 times. And so I think that is, it is insane. I run into it on ladder. It's unstoppable. Yeah.
So in terms of Mirror Mage, I'm not 100% familiar with card. Is it any card or is it only created cards?
It's only created cards.
Okay.
But because of the way that Bandle City works, you, of course, when you use Pytos, you create a perilous pastry.
Yeah. Okay.
And so therefore you can then ping something for 5 damage with a board full of Mirror Mages.
Are they shotgunning with the pie? Is this the
I-
pie? Is it like a pie blicky deck? You're just like
Is that what I'm
with
looking
all
at?
the pies off
Yeah,
it?
pretty much the pie blicky deck. Yeah, that's exactly.
Oh my
Well,
gosh,
that's part
that's
of
too
it.
funny.
But the other part of it
yeah.
as well is that your coins, because you're able to create those in Ionia, can
Okay.
also have that same kind of karma effect where that coin at even a very low mana cost can give you back to full mana pretty much instantaneously for 1 mana. But of course, that requires you to get to that point in the game. That's the reason why I think Condense is the best card that has come out of this expansion. But there
It's
are
definitely
other
a good one,
winners,
yeah.
such as right now we're seeing Blowback. Which I saw Majin Bay talk about this card, right? He's like, Blowback's kind of expensive in discard decks and everything. But I was thinking to myself, in a discard deck, so you discard 2 cards with a Jinx on board, you clear your hand, you deal 3 to a unit and 3 to Nexus. One other card in the game deals 3 to a unit and 3 to Nexus. Oh, I'll tell you, Shock Blast, which is a 6 mana slow card. But this is a card that is 4 mana at fast speed that synergizes really well with a discard synergy. And so for that to have the same effect for something that is slightly more powerful in other matchups. Now, of course, it's like a little more situational in that sense, but giving this discard deck Shock Blast has had some insane ramifications and has made Draven Scion one of the better winners of the post-Eternals patch, as we're seeing right now.
No, I've been seeing it. Like, I was kind of checking out the tier list. I was like, okay, what are people cooking? What's going on? And I was seeing that Scion, especially Draven, especially in our tournament, if we're looking at the decks themselves, right? Draven, I think, was brought. So we already have 5 at the top with Draven, Samira, Scion. You have just a Draven Scion variant, and then you have a Draven Vi variant, and then you have even with Jinx, right? Draven getting that 1 extra HP, which wasn't nerfed prior. I think does wonders, right? Although there is a lot of removal in the Eternal variant of the game, I think 3 HP is a good stat line, right? You usually need 2 spells to get rid of that person if you're not doing hard removal, like let's say Vengeance or Culling Strike, and it's strong. I was really interested to see that Trust chose the Quick Attack instead of the Jax Overwhelm. I'm curious as to why. Maybe because we know that Sion's coming down and Sion can like has the power to hit our units. But with that stuff, I know we're gonna be able to survive here. But that we haven't seen Sion in a while, Kai. I know that rally when Sion first came out was devastating to have to deal with, especially on curve.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Sion's lost 1 power, but I don't think that really matters right now because of this rally that's gone down. A fish fight is going to be coming in clutch here. This block for Trustiano is such a clutch hit, and also because of the way that fish fight works, you don't lose the Jax. You still have that blocker going forward. However, Trust is on very low HP, and they are dead next turn unless they can find healing off the top.
What, that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 13 damage of burn in hand right now. Like, look at all those get excited. We could just slam all the get excited to his face. We're not fighting Shuriba.
That's true.
Where's the deny? Where's the deny? Where's the heal? I mean, sure, for your in Eternal can have some healing, but I don't think it's enough to get past this 9.
And even if you have the Hearthblood Mender that you top deck here, it's not going to be enough off of the next swing because we do see those triple get exciteds in hand that can just empty Successor's hand for lethal. Maybe in some other reality, you're running I don't know, like what's a burst speed healing spell in Freljord aside from Catalyst of Eons? Because you're not running that in Orange Jax.
I think that's really it. I think burst speed healing. I want to say Catalyst. I want to say, and I'm trying really hard not to think of Shadow Isle spells because Shadow Isles has a lot of not necessarily burst healing, but fast speed healing.
Right.
Take your time.
I don't think there is. I think it is just Catalyst, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's just Catalyst. You have a lot of things you have are like what, Blighted Ravine, another one that no one's ever thought of in a million years aside from maybe your decks. Wings of the Cryo Phoenix is like a card.
And not for nothing, I always forget that's a thing, but you're right. That is a thing. You can heal for 3 and deal 3 to everything. It's an interesting card. Look at this swing. But here we go. About to jam all 3 get excited. can we talk
I mean,
about...
this really just guarantees
Oh
over top
my
of any
gosh.
sort of healing, right? That's why we're throwing all three.
Yeah, so that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. With blowback, I believe it was that like 15 damage in burn?
I think so.
That was up to, like, that's insane to think about.
Yeah.
15 damage in burn. Don't even need to hit the Nexus. I just gotta hit you for 5 damage and I'm good to go. Like the Scion deck now, at least I guess, I don't know, what would you call it? It's not, maybe, would it still be considered discard aggro, or is it more something like kind of control-y? Or is it burn?
I am more willing to call it burn, personally. Because you're using all of the aggro, or you're using all the discard targets to always have a full hand, so that you have targets for your get excited, for your blowbacks, to then burn your opponent out with spells. I mean, like you said, 15 damage to face, and I'm sure that there's even more in Successor's deck that they could have pulled out that would have then been able to hit face for even more. And because of that, you technically don't even need to play a unit with which to hit them in face.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Successor plays a card here, but I'm very curious. I believe Successor is the only person, or one of the only people, one of 3 people bringing Poppy, one of 2 people bringing Poppy Ziggs in this tournament specifically. And wow, that is 3, 6, 8, 11, 13. 13 1-drops. You're running 3x Decimate, 3x Fervor, 3x Pokestick, and 2 Pirouette. So
yes,
this is like
so much.
There is so much burn in the current meta, and it is just seen all throughout Successor's lineup, and it'll be emphasized even further as we get further into the tournament, I believe.
Wow. Now, this is a toughie, right? We have, like, we're looking at a Decimate and a Noxian Forever in hand. That Pirouette is definitely going to come in handy. I want to say this round, you're probably going to ping something and stun. I would say the 4-2, because Jax ends up trading into any of these units, right? And we have to block. I don't think we really have the luxury of not blocking, especially in Eternal, right? In Standard, I feel like you can kind of get away with not blocking to an extent, right? We don't have too much that goes to face. Maybe Samura's Flare. Decimate isn't a thing. All you really have to worry about is what Noxian Forever, I would say, as over the top burn. Maybe Mystic shots at least. So you can go down to 4 in Standard and be, am I right? But in Eternal, I don't. Going down to 4 is that's the number. You got to be really careful with how you use your HP against these kinds of aggro decks, especially.
I mean, heck, even going down to 8 is dangerous. Going down to 12, because if you run into 8, you're like, oh, Decimate, and then a Fervor kills me, and then a Pokestick to follow up to get that 1 extra damage. I can do math, I swear. I really like this block here, sacrificing the Jax, knowing that your most valuable unit right now are these blacksmiths that are going to be healing you for 2 every single round that a unit gets equipped or forged, and that is exactly what Trustiano deck does. And the Jax gets leveled up, so we're able to trade up into the combat cook, which is fantastic turn for Trustiano.
That is so perfect.
Able to stall out this early game super duper well. Like, the Pirouette will come in handy in terms of blocking and attack later down the line, but I think Trustiano's concept right now is just that Halo mission text, which is mission objective survive. that is the mode that Trust is in right now.
That's exactly what it is. Oh man. I mean, this is a unit, right? We talked about, like, how is this unit going to affect especially these weapon master decks. I think, right, it's interesting because I understand that with Freljord, we kind of, at least the developers talked about not really wanting Freljord to be a heal centric, but I guess in the idea of making this card in particular is maybe to give it a little bit more support, understanding that, okay, Freljord, what would you say is Freljord's identity right now? Because I feel like it's kind of a little bit, maybe not missing, but it doesn't feel as solidified as some of the other regions.
If we're ignoring Eternal, right, and we're just focusing more on Standard, because when I think of Eternal Freljord right now, I think of Kindly Tavern Keep, I think of Hearthblood Mender, I think of Innovative Blacksmith, all these cards that have healing in them. And we've mentioned Catalyst of Eons earlier, another Freljord healing card, Blighted Ravine, etc., etc., etc. So there's a lot of healing inside of Freljord, but when we go over to Standard, the mode that's supposed to be a little bit more true to form and a little bit more true to region identity that Riot at least hoped for it to be, I see Freljord as this really decent region for having mid-range units that also has immutable buffs, like these buffs that are just able to outscale your units and able to just kind of bully you into suppression, while also having a little bit of frostbite as backup, so that you don't really succumb to a stats battle. When it comes to stats battle, Freljord and its toughness has you beat every single time. So that's how I feel about the region overall.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I like it. I think, like, I guess when I think of Freljord, I think, okay, if we're thinking lore-wise in terms of what the Freljord is, it's always been described as this very hardy region. Like, there's severe winters, they don't have much food, right? It's your nomads traveling across this frozen wasteland. So I would expect the units to be, or at least the region itself, if you're kind of transferring to Runeterra, to be more like beef, right? It is more stats, right? These units can survive. They have the capabilities of doing so. And I think I kind of like the idea of certain cards can't heal, because I feel like when you, what is this hand? Hold up, pause everything I'm saying. We have 3 decimates in hand. That's 4. It does 4 damage. I'm not crazy, right? That's 4, 8, 12. Oh my god, 15 damage in burn. That's 15. Can we survive? Do we have enough mana?
Oh my gosh. And the smart thing about Successor playing the weapon onto Bird here means that they're able to block this Ornn from going through. And of course, because we're not running Demacia or I think that's really, or Noxus, I guess, you don't really have a rally available for this deck specifically. In fact, the Bird is going to be able to block the Ornn, deny the Ornn level up so it can be chump blocked at a later point, if it ever comes to that, and we then are able to throw the Bird at face. It is such a wonderfully patient play from Successor there, and it just makes it so that, oh hey, by the way, next turn, if Trustiano does not open attack, they are dead. In fact, we might be dead if we don't even choose to block. So we have to play around there being no fervor mana right now. That is what this fish fight is for.
For sure. There we go.
Oh,
we see it. That was
so narrow.
That was so narrow. And the thing is, you know what's crazy? I think that all comes down to the fact Decimate's mana was nerfed. Because what did it used to cost? 5. It costs 6 now. So we actually, if it wasn't for the nerf, we would have been able to do both Decimates that turn. That's insane. That 1 mana difference can really, like, sometimes you look at a card and you're like, oh, 1 mana, okay, it's all right. Some cards, it really makes that difference, and in this case we saw it, right?
Yep.
Wow, what a narrow game.
Absolutely, a nail biter. It came right down to it. After Trustiano lost both of those blacksmiths on board because they had to throw them into the blocks and prevent the damage from hitting face, I was a little bit worried for him. I was worried that there wouldn't be any sort of way that they would be able to dig themselves out, but finding both of those units and being able to get, I believe, 5 HP, 3 or 5, because he played the first time and then he played the second one, they healed 2, so it was 3, maybe 5 HP off of that, and that was what kept us off lethal. Now
look at this. When I think about Eternal, it's about the ones that are the decks that are old but they're goodies, right? One of those being Soraka Tahm Kench, which has always been known as an aggro destroyer, right? You play your units, these units want to block, they usually tend to be a little bit on the hefty side. They can block, they get healed, they block again, right? As an aggro deck, you have to swing. As a Soraka deck, you want to get hit. The only thing we're missing right now, we do have Soraka, but we don't have the Star Spring just yet. What's something interesting to see is that we do have Draconic Bands, which I thought was a really interesting addition into this deck. You can go ahead and like throw that on Soraka or throw that on some of the unit, and suddenly you have a dragon that just keeps on healing.
Yeah, the consistent healing from the dragon, or the Fury, you also get the healing off of Soraka. Trustiano trying to probe a bit of Successor's hand to see what else they have available. It'll be a second Vandal City Mare. This hand is extremely cheap because there is basically nothing but multi-region units. Aside from that Crimson Pigeon in hand, this entire hand is basically nothing but multi-region units. And they'll take 3 damage to face because they know that the pressure that they're able to scale up on this next round is, well, it's nothing to scoff at for sure. You might have the Broadback Protector on board right now. You
Star
find
Spring.
the Star Spring.
Oh, but this
But here's a
Poppy.
Poppy.
Do we hush? I feel like we preemptively hush.
It might be your only option against Poppy.
What is this? What is this? A 1/1? Okay, now Poppy dies though now if Poppy swings. Gives everything 1/1. That's still a strong board. Like, look at this. Poppy being a 4/4 on swing? We're not dead, but we're taking hefty damage. A whole 9?
That is... I mean, yeah,
Now-
we get the healing, but... Oh, man.
Let me check out. I want to see how much. What's our top end? What are we looking at to end the game? Decimate, Noxian, Forever. Okay, so the classic Noxus. So it's basically aggro burn in a sense of a burn finish.
Outside of Decimate, the most expensive card in Successor's deck... well, I guess if you want... They're tied. The most expensive unit, I should say, in Successor's deck is Bandle City Mayor.
Really?
At 3 mana. Is the most expensive unit in this deck. Everything else is 2 mana or less.
Yeah.
And of course, Fervor is, of course, also 3 mana. But then that's burn. It's just like converting.
We do have Poppy. We have Poppy at 4. So Poppy's the most expensive, but then follower-wise, it is Bandle City Mare.
Oh yeah, I did. Say
But I mean, even then with Bandle City Mare, Poppy isn't even 4. That's a 3 mana unit. That's a whole 3 mana champion. Speaking of Poppy, we have the second one found. We are healing though. Can we overcome this?
Depends on what Successor draws. I think Successor at this point has a very strong board that they can go with, but they will have to start hoping that they can draw some of those burn spells. But instead, they'll just go for the full swing. This is a very intimidating board. However, not without its answers.
16
blocks down to 5 HP.
We're gonna heal. I would assume we would heal the Broadback. Yep.
And there you go.
6 on Star Spring. All 3? That's a lot of healing. Because how much healing is that? That's 3. Yeah, deal 3 to me. Heal the Dex is 3. That's a lot of healing, especially if we keep hitting it with Soraka. I'm thinking that we're gonna see Tahm Kench come out now. I haven't seen Tahm Kench in a minute. Does Tahm Kench give the eating spell immediately, or does it have to be next round?
Ooh, I thought it was on summon.
I feel like it's on summon, but we're gonna find out if we see it. I can't quite remember. I'm about to check it.
Semantics of decks aside, I really do like Trustiano's. Yeah, it is when I'm summoned.
Okay.
I really do like Trustiano's read into the meta here.
Mm-hmm.
They saw on ladder, at least, if you look at the stats, it's Thresh Nasus at the top is the most popular deck, and then following it is Poppy, Ziggs, Annie, Jin, Draven, Scion. 3 outright burn decks, and so Trustiano figures, well, someone's going to be bringing one of, if not all of those 3.
Yeah.
And reads into it and brings this anti-aggro list, and creatively enough brings back an archetype we haven't seen in the meta for a very long time.
A hot minute.
The Call of the Mountain maybe was the last time that we really saw this as prominent, and I think it's going to be able to hold its own now that we have 2 Broadback Protectors on board. This is not looking good for Successor, whose only other card in hand right now is that Legion Saboteur.
I feel like the only thing that I'll give Successor, at least in this position right now, in this game state, is we need to swing wider than Trust at all times, right? Because the Crimson Pigeons, they might be 2/2s right now, but once they go ahead and hit the get that proc, they're gonna be 3/3s. So that's 2 4/4s, 4 3/3s. Right now, I think at that point we might just push enough damage where the burn can finish it off if we start drawing into it. But again, like look at this, up to 11. And Soraka now leveled, it gets to fully heal. And look, we have Cosmic Youngling.
Cosmic Youngling! Oh no.
Is it even worth it? I feel like if anything, we might go with another Broadback and Tahm Kench.
I mean, we do swing with the one Broadback because we want to have the other one healing, and there's 25 on the... Oh my god.
Wow!
Whoa! Okay, I knew that Broadback had gotten pretty big, but I didn't know it got 17 HP.
Because how do you keep track of that? Like, you don't see it until freaking Soraka heals, and you're like, 17 HP since when? But it makes sense, right? We've been buffing it.
Wow.
I think what really contributed it, that it was kind of like, it's a little bit sneaky, is the Draconic Bands, right? Because every time we blocked, what do? We killed something. What happens when you kill something with Fury? You gain that 1/1. So that on top of the Astral Protection, being able to give heal for 4 and then give it 4 more HP, it really made a difference. That was wow. Really good read into the meta, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing Tahm Kench come up. Now, what do you think would hold it back? Because I feel like we should start seeing it soon. If anything,
Broadman.
I think Broadmain makes sense. Broadmain 1000% makes sense because they want to damage. Broadmain wants your unit damage. Say goodbye to your units. You're dead now.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for Broadmain, we'd probably see Soraka Tahm Kench out more often. Okay, makes sense. I can see it now.
Which I think, if we consider the Broadmain versus Tahm Kench and Soraka matchup, Soraka, Tahm Kench, they don't mind their units being damaged for a little bit because they can heal them back up, and that is ultimately their win condition. But then Broadmain wanting them to be damaged means that they just kind of auto win into that kind of matchup. So I think that Trustiano is also doubly safe bringing this into a tournament and onto ladder, because they're then able to be like, oh, that deck has Broadmain in it. Bye-bye. It's not staying in my list anymore, or not in my opponent's lineup anymore. And it's very clever because I think that Broadmain decks can be seen in a variety of flavors. We've seen it in the Caitlyn Annie shell. We've seen it in a couple of Nora shells. I think like Nora Swain would be running it. I think it would.
It depends.
It depends. It's a personal decision. But I've been running it in a Jhin Nora deck that I've been messing around with on standard list.
Okay, I respect it because I've been wanting to run a Jhin deck with Broadmain so badly since it come out. But like I feel like initially it just feels awkward because it's like I can't really get the stuns off. But like if you get it, Jhin is killing everything, and it just looks really cool.
Once I'm done recording and editing, I will send you the clip that I am working on, just to convince you of its power.
Okay, so... I want to see it. Okay. All right, so for the very next match, we are going to have samsans versus @Gogo. Now, both of these players have been in our tournaments before. They rock it out. samsans, notably, has reached top 4 numerous times, and they are running an Aphelios Victor, Ezreal Seraphine, and Gnosis Thresh. Now, Kai, I've been, browsing through Twitter, through all the mumble jumble. It seems like Gnosis Thresh is the most popular deck right now. And I know when it initially came out, it was off the charts. Everyone was loving it, right? What are your thoughts on the deck?
It's still really powerful right now. When I checked for statistics while I was like writing notes for this cast for tonight earlier today, I noticed that Gnosis Thresh was the most popular deck in the game right now. 59% win rate. Wow. And the reason why it does so well is because it beats Poppy's Ziggs, which is the second most popular deck. And then it also beats up on a lot of these other smaller, more dinky, small unit decks that are floating around with the reemergence of Vandal Swarm and that sort of thing. Because once you get that Vaults of Helia rolling and you're able to stall out the early game with Hate Spikes and all kinds of other stall abilities, there's really not a whole lot else that these swarm lists can do against you, because their fearsome units aren't very, or blockers, excuse me, their fearsome blockers aren't very numerous overall. And then you have to then sacrifice your champions, but then your champions are often the ways that you get burn or the ways that you win the game. Yeah. And so you run into this issue where, in Draven Scion's case, for example, which is another deck that loses the fresh Nasus, you eventually, like, your answer to Nasus is Scion, and Nasus will be bigger than Scion, guaranteed, every time. So that's how I feel about this list. However, specifically into Gogo's list, which I believe is a Timelines list, if I'm reading this correctly.
Yeah, Timelines vibe, Trundle vibe. That's one of the old school classics from when Timelines first came out.
Classic. Wow. I don't know. Trundle vibe. I've seen Trundle Orn.
Trundle Orn. Yeah, I was seeing Trundle Orn. This one runs Revna. So I see Revna. I believe it changes Revna, but Revna's effect still goes through, so you get to choose a 6-cost unit that has bigger stats. I believe that's how that combo goes. I like it. At the stairs, Bird and Ice top end if you need to like kind of deal with the mid range deck. I see it like it. All the classics, you got Aloof Travelers, Augmented Clockling. I know the equipment cards are really good. Combat Cook, Piltover Castaway, really good if you're able to get some nice units at 4 mana, 3 mana.
We unfortunately don't have Gogo's hands, so we can only assume what they have in store at the moment. That's quite all right. 8 mana is available for them. The only thing standing between Gogo and defeat is a Sandseer, which I believe they found off of hitting a... Would that be the Combat Cook? Because the Combat Cook.
I want to say Combat Cook, yeah.
So let me see if I can
talk about a card you don't see often, because you never see Sandseer.
Sandseer is a travesty.
Oh man, look at this. Here we go. This is the combo, folks. Once you level up the rest, you get to pull a champion. That champion is Nasus. Look at that.
Big Nasus. You know, funny enough, after that attack goes through, though, because there's one more unit on samsans' board, that Nasus obliterates when everything goes back to bench. So you don't get it for very long, but you get it for the lethal swing.
Listen, as long as Nasus is hitting something, that's all we care about. Let him get obliterated once or twice.
Right.
It's so interesting to see that Nasus has kind of maybe not necessarily been on top, but has been consistent. Because, right, in standard mode, what were we running? Vaults Nasus, right? Many different variations just trying to get up to that point and being able to find that kind of like standard combo where they had the... What's the boat? The sea monster boat that reduces all the power by 2 and gives sea monsters fearsome.
Oh, Terror of the Tides?
Terror of the Tides, being able to combat with that and then also Rekindler. It's interesting for it to see that it's sticking around. And now that we're back in standard, we get to play it in its full form. That was the last game for samsans and Gogo.
Wow, samsans also moving through on their rounds. So we're hopping around on a lot of these because we're catching them at odd angles and stuff here. But I am enjoying the variety of decks that we're seeing. Of course, there is a lot of aggro and that sort of thing, and the play style is very similar across a lot of stuff. But I think this is what we expected out of Eternal, at least in this first week, was seeing a wide variety of decks, old decks making their comeback, or decks coming back, coming over from standard and then becoming more powerful with the access to Eternal cards, and then also with the access to some new cards. For example, Annie Katarina being that conservatory deck that we were usually seeing. I guess you could almost equate it to Annie Jin in some ways, where you're like skill slinging, you're trying to throw a bunch of spells and pings and stuff at your opponent,
I see what you're saying.
And then eventually have T-Bulk as a finisher.
Yeah.
So now what if we put Katarina in there? Oh, Katarina's a guaranteed ping. Oh, and if Katarina levels up on strike, we have a rally every turn. That's scary. Aside from Jin being like, I stun you if I'm on board after you've played 3 spells. So it's a bit of a slower requirement. So it speeds that up
by significantly. Because I mean, we've seen it, right? If we're going back in time and we're looking at all the decks that had Katarina in it, we saw what that champion did if she leveled up, right? Whether or not it was Red Gwen, whether or not it was the Bilgewater control list, whether or not it was anything else, just running Katarina, right? You got that level up, you're swinging in, and sometimes that's all you really need is to be able to swing in again and again. And having the extra pings, it never hurts. It's 0 mana ping once on level up. Sure, let me shoot something or let me just hit you for face.
Yep. Hits you for 1 damage on face, on summon, strikes. It's a big unit to work with. It's a bit of a pain in the butt, really, to work with. And then once you have that T-Poke on board as well, she is now a 5 attack unit that rallies every time she comes down. And those 0 mana pings are dealing 2 to face every single time. So there's like this kind of very logical ramping that goes on with that.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you need to answer this. We also need to answer this. And it puts your opponent on, funny enough, a short timer. Not in the same way that Deep does, but it's like, if I find the pieces of Exodia, I just kind of roll my way into a win here. And that's what Annie Katarina likes to do.
Yeah,
we're back to What are we looking at here?
We're looking at Trust and GnomuVerde. I believe we're running a Jax Piltover variant versus a Jax Freljord variant. So this is Jax Vi and Jax Ornn.
This is timelines against just outright equipment and weapon masters right now.
Yes.
If I'm reading this
Yeah, I believe so.
correctly. Jax off the board.
Let's check it out. I want to see these deck lists. Yep, timelines, fish fight, got top end burn, get excited, mystic shot. Almost all the same units actually. Very, very, very similar. I think the only thing that Jax Ornn probably has above the other is maybe the healing, right? Because we have the innovative blacksmith. We had Hearthblood Mender. Trochan I know is a good card for trading. I feel like I consider Spice. You don't see it too often, but I thought it was interesting that they launched it. A Wild Claw's Ferocity. Transform an allied follower into an alpha Wild Claw. That's a neat card for 6 mana. 6 mana focus, mind you.
That's pretty funny. Also, Orange Flame informed us in the casters chat that we did miss a burst speed Freljord healing spell. In Gift of the Hearthblood, 5 mana heal your Nexus, and then grant allies and equipment +1/+1. So
yes, there we go.
I missed that.
You don't see it often. I feel like it's a good card. Like you could run it maybe as a 1 of or 2 of, in especially like equipment decks, because I believe it draws, does it not? Let me see.
I haven't played that card in so long.
Neither have I. Yeah, it does. You heal for 4, grant all allies and equipment 1/1, and then draw 1.
Heal for 4 is actually pretty decent. Okay, I thought it was heal for 3, and I was like, no, if it's like worth 5 mana, you have to draw a card. You're still tempo negative anyway, but it heals 4.
It's strong though. It's a strong card, but I think it might. Maybe you don't run it because it's maybe a little bit on the slower side. It's expensive. Probably other cards you can run instead. Now, in terms of equipment, right? It's an equipment deck versus an equipment deck. What are some? If you have a tier list for the equipment, what would you say it is? I think personally, I want to say Overwhelm is on top, followed by Scout, and I say Overwhelm rather than Scout, period, because Overwhelm at least can go over top, while Scout I feel like is a little bit more niche. Like always strong to be able to attack more than once in a turn, but I feel like it works exceptionally well in more of the Moss skill list that take advantage of the rallies. What are your thoughts?
No, I'd agree with you. I think when it comes to the Freljord list specifically, what we discussed earlier, or at least what I think that Freljord's identity mostly is, oh wow, the Cloven Way is quite hard to get with Scout. So there's Overwhelm and Scout on that. But to wrap up the point here, I think that Overwhelm is slightly stronger, and I agree with you in Freljord strategy specifically because of how Freljord is so centered around the identity of having good buffs. So you have, 3 sisters into the Fury of the North if you want to have that on Overwhelm. Heck, if you want to get Rickoed, you can get hit with a Battle Fury inside of Freljord as well, on top of that Overwhelm weapon. And then when those Overwhelm weapons get stats added onto it, it becomes even more formidable because you can even definitely jump block a Scout unit that has increased stats on its Scout weapon, but you can't really do that quite as effectively with Overwhelm, which Freljord is very, very good at pushing out more consistently.
Oh so, man, that's how I feel about that. This is strong. This is definitely really strong. Like we might have the Overwhelm on the Scout, but now we're having to deal with this Jax that's leveled up. And not only that, Ornn is going to be arriving. And I feel like Trust's top end finisher is stronger than GnomuVerde's. Because I mean, sure, we have timelines, but we don't really have anything that is going to like end it. Like I think if anything, actually, excuse me, because GnomuVerde is on 3. So rather than looking for a unit finish, we're looking for that burn finish. So we would definitely want to draw into either additional Mystic shots or Get Excited. I think Get Excited will just completely end the game. If we're able to get Trust. Oh, excuse me, I reversed the decks. I'm silly. If Verde is able to get Trust low enough, Trust on the other hand will have the big end finisher we're Ornn. There we go. Too many Jaxes. Who's who? This is a LeBlanc situation.
Jax is everywhere. Jax is everyone. And that Cloven Way that had the Scout weapon is done for. Is put into the Entomb, and that is the Freljord flavor really showing its true colors here. Now Trustiano with this much more intimidating board over GnomuVerde.
Elusive?
I mean, you do have elusive. You could swap over for the... Yeah, there you go. The Green Glade Duo. So you can punch in for a little bit of damage. Still decent health options here, and Trustiano is not in danger of lethal at all at this moment.
Do we have to put the equipment on Acorn? I feel like we do, just to get that extra push through. We can't really swing with Jax unless we're planning on using the Mystic Shot onto one of the units, but then at that rate, I feel like we want to try to save it for burn. But I think we're kind of short on time. I think now that Ornn's gonna be coming down, and even without Ornn, we're swinging much wider, and Jax has Overwhelm. And is not only that, but there's the impact on that 4/5 combat cook.
Oh, this might... Hold on. No, I miscalculated. This is really close, actually.
Wait, what the hell? Why did he get 3/3? Hold on. The Light of Acacia. See, this is what happens when you don't see Jax ever played. Attack. Give me 1/1 for each. Oh, okay.
It counts himself.
It counts himself. And it just counts in general. I am silly. That's 4. Oh, that is so close.
It's very close, but Ornn might just be taking Jax's Light of Acacia here for the extra overwhelm. We're not going to be messing around with anything.
There it goes.
Yep. Big overwhelm. No possible block for GnomuVerde there.
At all.
And that is a solid win for Trustiano. Once again, showing the... I think the potency, when you're in that matchup specifically of Piltover and Zon versus Freljord, Piltover and Zon, great at like little single target spells. You know him for Pew, Mystic Shot. You know him for maybe Pew, Get Excited. You might even know him for Hexblader on occasion in the high end, but that's not exactly what they're really that great at. You know him for Caustic Rift, which deals 1 damage to everything, but these equipment decks laugh in the face of 1 damage to everything. They have tough, they have ways to regen. Heck, even re-equipping the equipment heals them in some capacity. So really, like, when it comes to the tools that Piltover and Zon need in order to deal with large Freljordian units, they just don't really have it. But GnomuVerde running it back. Concurrent timelines is found from the why am I blanking on this unit's name? Zonite Urchin. There we go. I just know of the interactions that it has with the Jinx, where it's like spam time, and Jinx just says, "Oh, there's a blast from the past." Well,
that's so funny.
It's great.
All right, timelines is found. Now, GnomuVerde brought 2 timelines decks. So we have the Jax variant, and now we have the Trundle Ornn variant. So now we understand why it wasn't Jax Ornn, right? We wanted to bring kind of like the best of both worlds in 2 separate decks. Trust running the Soraka Tahm Kench. Fair into this deck. I feel like maybe we want to get Tahm Kench on board and like get Tahm Kench big at that rate. That way we can start eating some of these bigger units. It's toughy. We have Hush.
The only way... It's such a tough call. Tahm Kench obliterates, so you can remove equipment.
Oh, true. Wait, does he eat equipment though?
Well, he'll eat the unit. Oh, that's... I always thought that he would eat the unit and take the equipment.
I have no idea. I think so too. That's what I would think. Oh, look at this. Oh, this is gonna hurt. We have the guiding touch to be able to heal. Oh, we can let it through. Okay. We could have guiding touched or Sunblessed Vigored.
No, I think Verde was throwing that for 6. So
throwing it for 6? Okay.
Yeah, it was exactly out of range, but
got you. Because what it was before.
Matter too much. Man, the Fortune Croaker into Cosmic Youngling is just an incredible combination.
Oh, that
I didn't
is.
Consider that.
We have Star Spring. Like I feel like we have the pieces, right? We have the Star Spring, we have the Soraka, we have the Tahm Kench. We just need the time. And although timelines did come down, I feel like it's not really going to start getting too scary until once we get Pillar. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, when timelines first came out, one of the most devastating combos that existed was the fact that you could, I believe, Ledros into Dreadway or vice versa? I think it was Ledros into Dreadway, you know? One of the two. Either way, you were one-shotting someone by the time you reached turn, I believe, either turn 8 or 9. And they actually had to split both of them up. So I think Ledros is at 9 mana and the Dreadway is at 8. Now you can no longer do the combo. But
Correct.
that lasted. That was a bit of a menacing deck.
I bet Stairs is an interesting answer to what Trust has on board. Can take out that Star Spring potentially before it gets to be a little bit too healthy. And because Trust doesn't have, like what we saw with those broadback protectors earlier, there's not quite as many valid healing targets here. And removing, well, at least attempting to remove the box of those.
Oh wow, leveled.
Oh, man, I forget how fast the Soraka levels.
It's fast.
That's a little ridiculous.
It's fast. I mean, like with Cosmic Youngling, like once that card was released, we understood. Okay, they rotated Soraka for a reason, because this card is bonkers. It gets to block basically anything with 3 or less power, and then it heals itself. That's almost immediate Soraka level up. Like, look at this. I feel like the only thing you can give it is like these units don't have a lot of power, right? It's all about they're beefy, they're just trying to take damage and get healed.
Augmented Clockling is down. I think Legion Veteran's your best option here, because you're going to be getting hit with not a lot of damage.
There we go.
Overall. When ally survives damage, realize you don't know what this card does. I don't blame you. It's bad. But whenever an ally survives damage, it is granted an additional +1/+0. I believe is the fact.
Yeah, +1/+0. Very good in the Vladimir list.
That's true.
The Vladimir, I only know that because the AI plays it in the Vladimir list. That's what you have to deal with. Here we go, Tom Kench.
Here's the problem with the Vladimir list, though, is that you have to run Vladimir.
Yeah. That's all I could say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Vladimir. Yeah. That's it. Scargrounds was always a really cool deck, but it just kind of lacked. Mind you, there were some decks that it completely smashed. Like I know if you were running Scouts of Misfortune, I remember seeing a game one time way back when, and they swang in. Everything got tough, and they were just getting buffed to infinity. I was just like, oh. This is no good for the Misfortune player. They are kind of dead. Look at this, though. We ended up getting the Young Witch. I'm going to put that onto Trundle. Trundle's going to be a 7/8 with quick attack. With these kinds of stats, like, we don't really have the buff spells we want to use just yet. We do have Astral Projection, and we kind of want to use that to contribute to the Star Spring win con. Now, we've reached turn 8. I'm wondering if we're going to go straight for Pillar. I would assume that we go for straight to Pillar, and then right after, I would think that we go to the It That Stares. These units are pretty beefy, right? We have the 2/7 Soraka. We do have a 5/3 Tom Kench. He can get healed, though. Let's see what we pull.
Oh, wow.
Ooh. Okay. Options?
It's going to be Terror of the Tides. And here's why. Mirror Mage, you don't have any created spells that you're really going for in GnomuVerde's deck. And Arsenal is useless because you don't have any landmarks. It's just a stat stick at that point. Doesn't even have a keyword. Terror of the Tides is the only one that does anything. And also, you can go swinging up against a lot of this list because it'll subtract all their attack by 2. Meaning that quite often you're not going to be finding any of the necessary attack power to block the Terror of the Tides specifically.
Yeah.
So now's the question of what does Trust swing with? Because obviously trying to heal up the Tom Kench, making it ready to swallow yet another innocent, or maybe not so innocent, victim.
We can't even call Young Witch innocent. Young Witch is turning people into what? I think little frogs? Let's take a look real quick. It's a little frog. If you ever look at the art, it's like a little frog with a sword. And she's just dragging it by the tongue, and they're just running. I'm like, hold up, what is going on here? What crimes has this Young Witch committed? All right, 5927.
I think there's like some interaction that Young Witch has with Lulu.
Yes.
It's like, say hi, Pim. Hello. Something along those lines.
It's cute. Now, I feel like we are gonna see Star Spring destroyed. Mind you, we have 2 more in hand. I feel like it'd be kind of funny If we just ended up playing both of them, at that rate, I don't know if we're able to win. Like, I think now we need to really start rolling into some overwhelm, right? We need Trundle to level up, get that overwhelm, possibly get something good off of the 8 drop. Here it comes. Boom, say goodbye to Star Spring.
Yeah.
Trust is laughing maniacally as we play the second Star Spring.
What do you say to the price of 2 copies of Star Spring?
Oh, look at this heal. It's like a waiting game. Like, we can wait. We can simply just keep passing, taking small little hits here and there. We don't really have to do much. Tom Kench is going to keep growing. We're going to eat something. Oh, we're forging the Young Witch. Okay. I like the elusive submersible. Even Ancient Warmonger does overwhelm.
Percival also... Oh, okay. Oh, is it a play effect for Submersible? I'm not entirely certain.
That's a great question. It might be. Okay, look. Okay, so the equipment goes back to hand. Okay,
wow.
Good to know. Interesting.
That's what you get for watching these tournaments. You learn new interactions every day.
I'm trying to think. Does that make sense? Like, would it be fair for it to eat it? Probably not, right? Because it's eating the follower. I think it has to do with Tom Kench's text. It says eat the follower. And I guess it's kind of like a recall, even though it's not a recall. Like, it's a take out of the... I don't even know how you would describe it, really.
Man, I just show up here once a week.
I just show up once a week. I look at these cards. Whatever the developers write and do is their game.
I twirl the end of my mustache and like, yes, but I have no idea what's going on.
Oh man. But this swing though, opting not to block with Soraka, I was thinking that maybe we were gonna do Astral Protection. This is gonna be a very beefy Tom Kench and Soraka. We're about to get so much healing.
And honestly, I think we're saving Astral Protection in that scenario, specifically for if GnomuVerde has a Mystic Shot, trying to bait that kind of removal out to see if they can get the Tom Kench's health up to a point where this new Star Spring can then accelerate even closer to that level up condition that we've seen before.
Yeah. Now, I have a new question.
Yeah.
It's very niche. Does equipping something count as healing it? I feel like like on the card itself, it technically quote unquote heals, but it's not an actual heal. It's just granting it more health, so it increases the health. But I don't think it's gonna count as a heal though.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think that when it comes to healing, it's just I think. Wait, did we just see 21 on that? It's kind of cut off. By No, 17. We're at 17 of Star Spring. We're having, we're killing units, so they're not gonna be able to heal after this. It's just Tom Kench. Now we have to figure out a way to win the game without hitting the units. Okay, saving that unit. I dig it. We maintain our overwhelm. There's only 1 unit on board. We're gonna be swinging with 3. We can get Trundle down. Tom Kench is definitely gonna eat something, and I think with Astral Protection, I think that might just be game. Especially with double. Ops to block, okay. This is tricky to navigate. Blocking with it, that stairs guarantees that Tom Kench can't swallow Terror of the Tides. Or, well, like any of your units. I think the Ancient Warmonger with the Overwhelm might be a little bit more of a threat at this point. Double draw. Concurrent timelines. We
can get rid of that. We can draw further if we want to.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, we have more It stairs, right? We have, I believe, if not, I'm not mistaken, I believe 2 in total. I'm gonna double check. Have a total of 2. We have 2 available. So we need to find that very last one to reset this Star Spring. We're at 21 out of 22. We're at 22, and that is game.
perfectly calculated from Trustiano. And that was the second one. That game would have ended a lot sooner if it wasn't the second one that they threw on the board there. So being able to find the lethal through the Star Spring, just being really patient with that astral protection, worked out well in their favor. I wonder as well if they were saving it for the case of a buried in ice, because if they tried to heal at the Tom Catch prematurely and weren't able to swing with that Soraka, they wouldn't have had the opportunity with which to heal up the Tom Catch that turn and would have been dead ahead of time.
Yeah.
And we have to consider the Star Spring healing that went on to Tom Kench while he was on board. That also counted to that exact level up and that exact win. So one card could have staved off defeat further for GnomuVerde, but instead it is another strangely resounding victory for Soraka Tom Kench, piloted by not only Triano once again.
Shoot. I think you just might be right, Kai. It's the secret sauce. It works. I mean, I don't think we're really seeing too much broad. I think we are seeing a little bit, only a little bit. So I feel like as long as we're able to avoid the broad, Trust is able to avoid those broad main list, should be a-okay to possibly make it to the finals. Because we're seeing how strong it is, right? It's like, all right, one of the most popular ways to end a game is what? Overwhelm, right? If we're able to get a unit overwhelm, we can end it there. If it's not overwhelm, it's swing right aggro, or maybe trying to burn your opponent out. Maybe like I want to say top 3 ways to win. I feel like it's when you're dealing with a deck that not only can heal itself, like units wise, it can heal the Nexus, right? And like that is the win con. I don't need to kill you. I just need to block you. It's like, what do you do? Even as a mid-range deck, like we saw, those were some big units. An Overwhelm, we had Terror of the Tides, we had Trundle, we had IDCxElite. These are very powerful late game units. And Soraka Tom Kench is like, hey, I'm eating. I'm having buffets every single round. How are you gonna deal with these stats? And then even we saw it with like the aggro. Aggro's like, you know, we saw Poppy swing twice, buffing everything by 1/1. Those are really powerful boards. But the fact that we're able to have the broad main protector, being able to heal our Nexus for 3 each time, and just simply not die because we're healing it, it's so strong. It's so flippin' strong. We really seeing its power and why people loved it back in the day when it was what, like you said, I think called the Call of the Mountain expansion. It had come out.
Yeah. And still powerful to this day. I think I remember specifically Call of the Mountain because that was the seasonals that Majin Bay won with Soraka Tom Kench. So that was the reason why I was like remembering that list specifically, was because that was when it was at its height. And it definitely continued to be strong from that point onward, but then eventually fell behind. You know, Flock decks was something that I think really came to just shut that matchup down entirely. And I'm thinking about these broad main decks as well. The point that I brought up earlier, you can ban one broad main deck. Again, people are not going to be bringing triple broad main decks. It's just not possible because a lot of the shells that you bring are either specifically has Annie in it because you want to have Raven Blue Conservatory in it. And so you can't run like Annie Katarina and Annie Caitlyn both with Broadmain. You have to choose one or the other. And then when you're ending up with, if you're playing Jin Nora, you're throwing. In a tournament.
You're throwing?
Like quite honest, to be quite honest with you,
throwing?
I don't think the deck is exactly tournament ready. As much as I love it, I just don't see it making the same kind of distance it does because it takes a little bit too long to set up against a lot of aggro decks and so forth. So with that all in mind, I think that if you just ban Broadmain or ban anything that can bring Flock, you're good to go. Your units stay on board pretty much indefinitely, as we've seen in a lot of these matchups. One mistake I did also make in that last match was with GnomuVerde's deck, bringing the Terror of the Tides. I thought, yeah, you get all of the -2/-0 and they can't block Fearsomes. Completely forgetting that the only way the Terror of the Tides effect works as well is by giving other sea monster allies.
It has to be sea monsters.
Fearsome.
That's totally
so, miscalculating on that a little bit, but that's okay. We're going to be watching Winter Diarch against Mega Paras, I believe, is our next matchup.
Ooh, okay. What do
At
we
least
have
that's what we see in the
here?
casters chat.
Oh,
The secret
uh-oh.
casters chat.
Look at this. What deck is this, Kai? I think it is.
It's Talia Ziggs! Let's go!
Now talk to me about Talia Ziggs. I take you I consider you the master of this. Like I've dabbled.
Listen,
Walk me through it.
I think I'm a little bit of a fan of Talia Ziggs, and the reason why I enjoy this deck so much personally is because I find that it uses every single aspect of Legends of Runeterra, and it has a lot of flex slots in there. So there are different, I guess, flavors that you could see inside of this deck specifically. And in this matchup, the one that Winter Diarch is bringing is the Waste Walker focused one. Now, for those of you who don't know what Waste Walker is, it is a 3-mana 3/3 with Overwhelm that is granted +1/+1 every single time a landmark is destroyed. And looking at Winter Diarch's board right now, boom, it's now a 4/4. When that drop the bomb goes off, that Scrappy Bomb goes off next turn, it's going to be a 5/5. That Misfortune is vulnerable. It is off the board. So this deck is very aggressively slanted, trying to pour a lot of resources into the Waste Walker, and then using your Ziggs and Talia as a kind of alternate finisher. We're not running any of the Herald of Magus, so you can't give your champions Overwhelm. We're not even running Absolver, instead trying to go for Unleash Energy. So clearly the plan here for Winter Diarch is to use a lot of landmarks to buff up this Waste Walker, to get champions on board, and then just surprise lethal somebody with Overwhelm, and that'll be the end of them.
Now, what would you do in this situation, right? We have vulnerable on Misfortune. I feel like we could stun her to try to prevent any, like a really juicy open swing. But at that rate, we could also sacrifice the unit. But I feel like we want to keep this Waste Walker, no? Maybe allow it to kind of get a little bit bigger with the other abilities that we have, use our spells.
This is the line I was thinking was going to happen. Yeah, absolutely want to keep the Waste Walker on board, because you know that it's a bit of your win condition right now, seeing as you don't have champions in hand, and then blocking with the Rock Hopper to prevent that extra 3 damage to make sure that Misfortune can get pulled once again by the Waste Walker. Arsenal is here as well. We're still 3 turns off from that, so we get a little bit of time before that can really come to fruition here. But
this is tough, because I feel like at this rate, Megaporos would just simply keep these 2 units on the board, don't play anymore, and just swing. But at that rate, like you're playing Pirate aggro, you can't really afford to do that, can you?
Not at all. But if Megaporos plays a unit here, they oh wait, gold card though.
Oh, okay, gold card's huge. Because mind you, this is a Misfortune Twisted Fate Gangplank variant of Pirate aggro.
That is a champion lineup and a half from days gone by, but very much a reality now. Pirate aggro being potent. Potent as it ever was, perhaps you could argue. Misfortune stunned out by the Hexplosive Minefield.
Oh, scouts!
Oh boy.
This is gonna be tough. I'll probably opt to play the second stun. That's gonna stun what, the 2/4, I believe? Okay, shoot a unit. Oh, okay, got a blocker. Oh, it's
found.
This is tricky because right, these Crimson Pigeons are gonna both become 3/3s because of the Misfortune skill. This Waste Walker, if it blocks, will die. But I'm wondering if we've just reached the point where we can now transition into Arsenal. What I believe we're 2 turns off, and I think against Pirate aggro, I don't think we have time.
Oh, this is such a tough position. Do you play the Hexplosive Minefield? You do. Okay. Stun a unit out. Invite in at least 5 damage at max. I would say, wait, no, 6, because you have 2 of the 3/3s plus the Misfortune. So even if you block one of the Crimson Pigeons here, you're still getting hit for 6 right now. And like, going down to that all-important 4 HP, we're a decimate away from death right now, and we still need to develop.
Oh my, this is where it gets scary, right? 4 HP, 3 HP. These are Nexus health totals that you do not want to be at when you're fighting a aggro deck. Not only that, but one of these the Noxus variants that have access to Marksman Fervor and Decimate. In this case, we don't really have what we're looking for. We have these stuns that we can't really utilize just yet. We're having our draw. We're only one turn away from Arsenal, because mind you, Arsenal can get lifesteal, and we're good. But at this rate, we've just run out of time. There's just so many units on board, and not only that, just units that are going to provide that burn. And this Misfortune, mind you, this is 3 out of 4. This is a leveled up Misfortune on next swing, and it's a scout attack. Oh, I had not got some arrows.
Refill the hand. Honestly, the only way that Megaparos throws this next round is by not open attacking, and even then, it might not be enough. Sure, Winter Diart could throw their Inventive Chemist into the Pigeon right now to prevent that 4 damage, but look, you've got a whole other board worth of worries on the board right now. Not a lot of healing. I want to double check the defensive options for Winter D, because quite often you'll be seeing Quicksand. I suppose it might feel the course being played here.
No, it's the it's the Wump. Oh. It's the Wump. It's the Stinky Wump. 2 damage off the Stinky Wump. Oh no.
Honestly, I think that Winter Diarch was hoping for Riot Negation or Unleashed Energy, or even Riot the Arcane, and hoping for a pass here. But this is one of the problems that these landmark base decks do run into quite often, is that you're playing landmarks. Your board is then cluttered up with a space is being taken by something that can't block units, that can't prevent damage quite as reliably, and so therefore you're liable to get overrun by these aggro lists that are able to go wider than you. And unfortunately, Talia Ziggs, as much as I love it, it definitely has its glaring weaknesses, especially in that kind of matchup. Not all is lost, though. Winter Diarch does have another match to go through, but we'll see just how well they fare against Megaparos, who, if I'm going to double check their list here, they are just all out aggro. They are Annie-Jin, Draven Jinx, GPMF with Twisted Fate.
So the classics, basically the triple kill.
Yeah, that is what it is. I think we're also spectating the same person twice here. So,
get that.
Do we have Megaparos's hand?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay, we don't have Megaparos's hand. Okay, well, we probably can just use our imaginations and sit on the edge of our seat while we commentate on what Winter Diarch could possibly have as responses. But
now, discard aggro has always been, I feel like, a fan favorite in terms of the aggro realm, right? Running Jinx, running Draven, and not only that, Draven had recently received that buff of 1 more HP. Is this the classic version? It does look like it. We're running the Vision, get excited about much Mystic Shot, all the classics. We were in Grenadiers, great position.
God.
What? I look away for 1 second, and aggro does what aggro does, and that was a Vision, y'all. We're taking 5 regardless.
That is brutal. Winter Diarch probably really hoping they had a pie shot in their hand, but the list of Talia Ziggs is a little bit too tight. You can't really be running around that, and Megaparos hitting the nuts by going for Zonite Urchin into a Scrap Scuttler into another Zonite Urchin to discard a Vision to then give themselves the board space that they need. If this ends up being a Draven, which it isn't, it's a Flame Choppers, Winter Diarch can use Drop the Bomb to remove this other Scuttle Crab, or Scrap Scuttler.
Interesting. I would have expected a Drop the Bomb to come down onto a unit, because that's the 3 damage, and you want to try to maintain as much HP as possible. Maybe anticipate that Megaparos is going to keep on developing.
And there's the development. Probably going to use Drop the Bomb on that now. 3 damage is okay.
Yeah.
6 damage is not. Quite simply put. Winter D does have the way to prevent a Draven drop here. It is not found by Winterparos. And the funny thing about Winter D's mana right now is they are repping the potential of a Riot the Arcane, which they're running 2 copies of. So the champions that Megaparos has are under threat from that. It's going to be a matter of time to see which one of these units.
6 mana. Okay, we go with Rock Hopper. I was thinking that we were going to go with possibly Unraveled Earth into a second Waste Walker. Get them both on field, starting to get buffed.
Very possible.
Now, given that we haven't seen one just yet, I want to assume that Megaporos does not have either champion hand. Although I was noticing that we're discarding pretty quickly. I'm wondering if there's a Jinx available potentially, or simply just setting up. But right now, I think we can possibly stabilize, right? There is no overwhelm, aside from the one of the crowd favorite, which provides the overwhelm. But other than that, we're gonna have to utilize our burn to try to end the game after we've gotten Winter Art down to a low enough HP pool. Ooh, look at this. We do have Desert Naturalist. Good card, good card. I'm gonna go ahead and destroy something, get another blocker, so that's 2 blockers in 1.
That's
There it
pretty good.
is.
There's the Jinx we were worried about, though.
This is scary, because if that's Rummage, that's a level up.
It's so inconsistent for me. I don't know what Explosive Minefield stuns here, and we're going to be removing the Flame Chompers as well to make sure that we're able to dictate our own blocks how we want to here, while still having the option of that Desert Naturalist still in hand. Plus, we have a Explosive Minefield on top of that, so really depending on how we go for us. But oh boy, here's a Rummage. To
Was I? I'm bad that I called it. It's a Rummage.
Wow.
Now, in terms of Explosive Minefield, it would stun Jinx because Jinx is more expensive in terms of mana cost. Anytime there's 2 equal champions with equal stats, it starts looking at the mana cost of the units.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Only energy is going to be burned here to save the Rock Hopper.
I respect that, definitely. Because mind you, now Jinx can't swing, right? That's a 5/4 into a 7/7.
Correct. And since Jinx can't swing, I think you're playing Inventive Chemist first to prevent more damage to face right now. Nope, playing Explosive Minefield. You don't want Jinx to swing.
Okay.
Worried about a potential Mystic Shot, perhaps?
Okay.
That was the last card. Is
bye,
Draven?
Draven. It's bye, Draven.
Okay, and the crazy thing is, if I remember reading very briefly, but very correctly, the other card that Rummage discarded was a second Jinx. I believe I saw Jinx's Get Excited discarded.
No.
So Megapro's putting all
check.
of their chips into this specific.
It was.
Wow.
It was Jinx's Get Excited, and it was a Oh shoot! Hold on, this thing's happening.
Hold on.
And a reborn Grenadier.
Right. Saw that.
So this is Jinx number 2, I guess technically.
Right.
Talia.
Big Talia. Now, Talia probably... Oh, this is a really awkward call. You could play Talia and copy the Drop the Bomb, or the Scrappy Bomb here, but instead deciding to go for the Waste Walker because this does permit Winter DR to play Desert Naturalist as well if they want to play this for 2 more walkers. Potentially also getting the kill on the Jinx with the weaker Waste Walker. It's a funny sentence, the weaker Waste Walker.
And here, okay, now Kai, I have no idea what gets done because Crowd Favorite and Jinx are both 4 mana. So we could have used the Explosive Minefield to stun something here. Maybe Jinx? I actually don't know what takes priority over there.
It might be left to right at that point, to be quite
no,
honest.
actually no, I think you're right. I think it is left to right.
Wow.
Ooh, a Vision, okay.
Vision, good grief. I mean, you get the Jinx Rocket, which deals 3 to phase. You're just making sure you get all of this burn down. Putting Winter DR into a very tight corner now.
Oh man, all we have to do is top. Okay, so we can't win off top deck Get Excited because Jinx would have drawn more cards, and now we're only drawing 1 card a round, so I can't be top deck Get Excited. We need 2 more rounds for that. I guess what, a Mystic Shot? Or I mean, we're not dying. We're at 15, right? Because Crowd Favorite can still swing in and deal that extra oomph that we need.
Crowd Favorite does 2 to face at minimum here. Because of the block from Rock Bear next turn. But it's possible that Megaporos even... Here's the interesting thing. Yeah, Mega Paros absolutely making the right call here. Blocking the Rock Bear, dropping the Rock Bear's health down, so that next turn, when the crowd favorite swings, the Overwhelm itself is lethal. Exactly. Winter Giarch not quite catching on to that and realizing now that they don't have the HP to handle it. Their top deck has to be the second copy of Unleash Energy, otherwise they are dead on.
Oh, it's Celia.
That's game.
Oh man.
I suppose you'll do.
Ah, exact lethal.
Man,
That was.
and it's like that's such a hard line to see.
It is.
Because you're just trying to go for as much damage as possible, get these units off the board. You're thinking, okay, well, I'm dead to a Get Excited top deck, more like in the next couple of turns anyway. I might as well swing for all the damage that I can there. And getting caught off guard by the Overwhelm. Totally unfortunate, but also really well played by Mega Paros to find the cards that they needed to win the match out for themselves.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, utilize your health, the resource. Ross was so healthy, but sure, I'm staring at a really strong board. This is not a board to laugh about, but I'm healthy enough to take a hit, right? And then as you were saying, because like right as you were thinking it, we were both thinking, we were looking at it, we can block these with these little scuttle crabs and get them low enough for the Overwhelm. And I feel like, because I was curious why we didn't swing with the 2/3, maybe thinking, oh, I don't want to trade this unit off, or possibly thinking, okay, I think this is going to be enough where I can block with the HP. I'm wondering if that line in particular, like taking it back, was acknowledging, oh, I think I might need this unit for HP. Not sure, but that was a close one. And you saw how Mega Paros was like, hey, I'm discarding my champions. I have to. Like, we needed to discard a Jinx, we needed to discard a Draven just so that we can guarantee the Jinx rockets. And it was good that we didn't, I mean, not that we had the choice, but I wouldn't have been surprised if the turn where Jinx was stunned, that, didn't even swing with her to begin with. Because at that rate, Jinx is always drawing you 2 cards. You're always getting 3 cards in hand. It's a rocket engine, right? There's no way really to stop that unless you're able to either A, with the vulnerable, which we saw, or B, you have Rite of the Arcane to shoot Jinx. That one was a toughie. That one was definitely a tough match. And you just see how powerful, Jinx may have been nerfed, right? Because remember, Rocket used to deal 4, right? I'm sure you haven't forgotten.
Yeah.
I know I haven't
forgotten.
Again. So that now that it's a kind of like a Get Excited plus, I guess, a ping to everything, right? I can't really say you can be a little bit more lenient, but like because it's still scary, right? Like the fact that it's a free ping to Nexus is something you really have to think about. And I feel like as you said, with that kind of particular deck, even in my experience playing Talia 6, I feel like I've struggled with against aggro, right? They go wide enough. I feel like I kind of need my combo pieces to really get units out in the field. And even so, that's happening around, like, let's say, because Desert Naturalist is at 4 mana. At 4 or 5 mana, aggro's kind of like killing me. Like they're reaching the end of their line. I would say maybe like between like 4 and 6. That's where they're kind of like popping off and be like, yeah, I've done what I need to do. So it's tough. It's tough. You can't get rid of too many blockers with that.
Yeah, which makes me wonder about like what Winter Giarch was running in there. Yeah, 3x Desert Naturalist. So I personally don't really like running 3x Desert Naturalist in that list either because of how slow it feels. You have a 4 mana card. If you're playing against a lot of aggro, 4 mana is the turn that they start just shifting into high gear and saying like, okay, I am playing my Jinx. I'm going to be killing you next turn or the turn after. Good luck. And to have, like, when you draw Desert Naturalist, you're like, okay, cool, I can destroy this landmark that I have on board. But then you draw another one and you have no landmarks on board. And then you draw your third one and there's still no landmarks on board. It is the worst feeling ever, just because of the negative tempo that the card has specifically. So I wonder if list-wise there could have been a different tech, but I'm extremely biased towards this deck, so I need to stop commentating and bringing it up too much, because I need to give more credence to these other lists that are currently being played. But going into these semi-finals, we have Mega Paros against Trustiano. And Mega Paros against Trustiano. I don't know if that's the match we're watching. I'm just looking at the bracket right now. We're watching Anfitriao versus Yiloim, but I'm curious as to how the other match will also go, because we know that Trustiano has that anti-aggro tech. Mega Paras, on the other hand, full aggro. So I'm very curious to see when we get to the finals who ends up on top of that matchup. But right now we're watching that's a combination of consonants and vowels my mouth
Hold
was
up.
not ready for today. Anfitriao. I think I got that.
Possibly.
Anfitriao and Yiloim.
We're about to come up with nicknames.
Boy.
This is Yi and Anfi. Let me stop. We'll make sure we call them players. They list, these are their names. Now check this out. I absolutely love. Hold up. Give me 1 second. Let me just fix the spectator real quick.
All right.
Anfi is playing one of my favorite decks of all time. I absolutely love Plunder. Always love Sejuani. Being able to freeze the board just feels good. And look at this. Look at what we're running. We're running one of the newer cards. The Oh, did we just steal Broadmain?
We just stole Broadmain. And the even crazier thing is that Yiloim played Aloof Travelers last round. Anfitriao had both Gangplank and Eye of Nakakiboros, and by some stroke of luck, I have no idea how this thing figured it out, but the LOR RNG gods reached down and blessed Anfitriao's hand and removed the Eye of Nakakiboros from hand. The Gangplank, the finisher, is safe for now.
Oh,
and Yiloim
man.
is taking a lot of damage.
I mean, think about it. We're back in Eternal. What was one of the cards that just made Plunder suddenly go to the top? Spirits Unleashed. Being able to deal one to everything. The Nexus, that's the ping that we need for both the Gangplank and Sejuani level up. And giving 1/1 to everything. It's so strong. Like, look at this. This Jaga Butcher, a 1 mana you Plunder giving 1/1. Oh, Spirits Unleashed. Get another 1/1. I'm suddenly a 4/4. This 4/3, this Tusk Speaker that has Overwhelm naturally. Oh, it's so strong. Because look at this. We're taking 7 damage. And Broadmain is one of the answers, right? This would have been turn 6 Broadmain that we would have been able to put it down potentially if we drew into it to be able to start dealing with the board. Because now we don't really have to worry about these buffs. We could just simply do damage and we're good to go.
Elixir of Wrath is used at a very interesting juncture here, but if you're trying to remove units, these stats are too big. Yiloim would otherwise have to burn 5 mana to remove specifically, and they will be using 5 mana.
I think we have to.
The Tusk Speaker. No, never mind. We're going face.
voting.
We want the Tibbers. Okay.
Okay. I like
I was
Tibbers.
gonna say, it was a little scary for a second there, but man, I'm looking at Anfitriao's deck right now, and they're running 2 of the Frostcoat Cup. There's a card that I don't think we've seen enough, but I think is also severely underrated.
Wait, the who?
The Frostcoat Cub. Have you not?
Oh, the cub. Okay, the cub.
Yeah.
Little wolfie. The cute little wolf
Little
that has
cute-
mama protecting it. Okay.
Exactly. Now the reason why it's so good. Oh, hey, Portapalooza. But the reason we're gonna gloss over that for a second. The reason why Frostcoat Cub is so good is because of what you mentioned earlier in Spirits Unleashed. You get to that turn 7, you play the Frostcoat Cub as the Frostcoat Mother, and it is an 8/6 with Overwhelm with 1 Spirits Unleashed on top of it. So it becomes a late game threat that is also readily available to Anfitriao. And if you don't want to spend the 7 mana for it, well, you spend 2 mana and you have a 2/3 blocker, which are decent stats for that mana slot specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I like this. I like this list. This is a good list. It's interesting. We're not running the failure draw that immediately draw, like guarantees the draw on Gangplank or Sejuani. Basically.
Oh, sure.
I personally like the Feel the Rush variant. I just like having 1. I don't know why, but it feels good. It's spicy. I play the Feel the Rush, like hee. Big card, big stats, big units.
It's kind of like playing 7 copies of Champions in that deck in a way.
Now, Father Fury in this deck.
Right.
I feel mixed about it because 1, it's elusive, so that does guarantee a hit onto the next if they don't have elusive blockers. I was looking at the 1 mana spells in Bilgewater and Freljord. Not too many things, right? Because it's not 1 cost or less, it's specific cost, so we're warning shot, right? But I think regardless, it's still a good unit with elusive, and even just being able to refill spell mana and get a spell, I think it can still be useful. And look at this Broadman coming down, about to hit the Katarina, saying, "Listen, not only do I got bodies, I have yours."
Yep. Goodbye, Katarina.
How much does Tibbers deal? Tibbers deals 2 to all damage and stun units. So do we use these blades edge? Because we have to deal with an open swing next round, right? But not, we don't even have to think about it. This is definitely gonna be an open swing.
I wanna play.
Anfitriao doesn't really have the board.
Wait! Condense, Kai. Condense onto Broadmain. 1 mana Broadmain.
Oh.
Is that suddenly an answer? Could that potentially save us?
Another potential save could also be a 1 mana ToF Speaker. Ping both Nexuses, get a 1/1
instead go for the burn. Okay.
Yeah. Because I think that's what Yiloim has to go for right now. You're not going to be beating these units out of stats. Like, sure, you can play the Tibbers down, and sure, you can maybe remove that blue sentinel there, but it's not going to be doing a whole lot else outside of that. Contrologist is played first, though, making sure we try to find the value. Trinket Trade, Condense, and Weapon Hilt are some of the options ever known to man.
Trinket Trade could do something. Okay, we'll go for the Trinket Trade. What are we getting?
Hellstone's Lure Otterpuss. It has to be the Otterpuss. I don't believe you run any of those other cards, at least not for this list specifically.
I think we have to play this dagger.
Has to go to the blue sentinel first.
Checking the hand.
I mean, yeah, no, that makes sense, right? You don't want the elusive hitting you for as much. I think Blue Sentinel eats this dagger for breakfast right now.
I think so too. The issue is like these overwhelm units though. Like they're a problem. That is lethal, and we're not able to block them because our units are just too low damage. I mean, Annie can block one, but our opponent's still wider than us. And if our opponent decides to develop Gangplank, I mean, I guess we can Tibbers and stun it. Does Tibbers stun? Hold up, am I silly? Yeah, stun an enemy. Okay. Tibbok's here. High toss.
Man.
Going for the elusive instead. Okay.
Wow.
Ooh, make it rain. This is a tricky match.
Funny enough, I think the line of play is to condense the Broadmain. Never mind. I mean, you can still condense Broadmain. But what I was thinking was...
Oh, this hit! Whoa! It hit both of them! It hit both of them! Oh man, we've seen it
bringing up the scope.
Time again. Make it rain. Sometimes it whiffs. Sometimes it. This is the sniper with the best scope in the world, and right here we are seeing it.
And this is why Make It Rain is the BS RNG card.
I'm screaming.
Man, how far we've come in Legends of Runeterra, where it's like, oh yeah, darn, Make It Rain really just kind of snipers you out, huh?
Look who's here, the captain himself.
So the line I was thinking with that 2-mana Broadman play was that you hit one of those Overwhelm or Elusive units, and then you have Pytos as backup, along with the ability to potentially remove something else with the Double Blades Edge, so that you're not quite as worried about that. However, we're going to play a second Tibbers, so we stun the Gangplank, but I still think our HP is overall too low for the two overwhelm. No, am I miscalculating something here?
I think you're right. I think we're swinging too wide, and it's the overwhelm that does it. We block.
Blocks the overwhelm.
Exact.
Blocks for 2, takes 3. Yeah, so it's exact lethal right here.
Oh man.
Which is why I think copying the Broadmain off of the board was the better option, because then you have the potential to remove a couple of units all at once. But that's
You know what's
you
another
can also
line?
pull and make it rain.
When Tibbers comes out, right, it deals 2 to even does it deal 2 to damage units? Now I gotta check before
It
I
does.
start spewing. Okay, so I was thinking, what if we played Tibbers, our opponent responds, okay, we get another action, we have mana. If we use the Blade's Edge instead onto the other units, because then what that does, it kills them, right? Because Blade's Edge bring them down to 2. But even then, I'm not sure if that's enough because we're still kind of short on blockers. At that point, we wouldn't be able to get the third Tibbers out. It's tough.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
even
you
the
have to
broad
like
lane.
double Blade's Edge the 3 health units,
Uh-huh.
probably the Overwhelm units specifically.
Yeah,
Stun
yes.
out then stun the elusive unit, not really knowing if your opponent has GP in hand or not, or if they have buffs to begin with, because again, for all your buffs, they kind of go hand in hand. It's a very, very tough turn to navigate. And so I don't fault Yiloim at all for not for failing the skill check or something, whatever you want to call that there, because that's a very tough line to find, because there are so many different things that failure can have in answer to that. And so therefore, in game number 1, we'll go over to Amphi, and we will see ourselves in game number 2 with Amphi on I believe this is Echo Jinx. I'm going to double check before I eat my words.
Yeah,
but,
Echo Jinx.
Yes, it is
Jinx
Echo
here.
Jinx. All right, cool.
Classic. One of the, what would you call this? Is it aggro? Is it combo? I feel like it's like a hybrid aggro combo, and it seems to beat other aggro lists because of the why can't I think of the card for Echo now? Chrono Break.
Right. Yep. I think it's a combo list that has some burn, or it has some like swarm capabilities.
Yeah, I can see it.
That's how I feel about it.
Ooh, we're running Absolver. Okay, got back our Overwhelm, our game ender. At least one of our game enders, I should say.
The mix of this list feels extremely solid for Echo Jinx.
Yeah,
like I look at the list and I think, is there a weak card in here? Not really. Everything kind of fits.
Yeah, I would say it fits. I feel like maybe its only weakness, or maybe at least one of the weaknesses, I'm sure there are others, it's the fact that Voice of the Rivers and Echo and Jinx are all the same mana cost. So it does take time to set up. It's not necessarily on curve.
That's true.
Ooh, look at this. Ice House into Mystic Shot. Now, that unit was so good, right? I feel like that's value, right? We still get the Annie. We don't really have to worry about anything else on the board for now. We're setting up our units.
It's funny seeing those trades go down, because it just feels like your playground war of attrition, you know? It's like, I punch you, okay, well I punch you back harder. It's just, you throw a pie toss at me, well I hit you with a mystic shot. What now?
You feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! I got this.
Yeah, exactly. There are no pathetic cards in my deck, Kaiba. Wait, no, wrong franchise.
Ooh, look at this. Fallen Feline with not the one and only, the cat tag. Cat tag is here. We're not running, we are running Shrima, but we do not have pack attack. I'm really hoping with the reveal of these tags like cat and dog and reptile and bird that we get to see a IDCxElite champion maybe revolving around animals. I'm hoping that it's Nidalee. Nidalee calls the pack into battle type style.
That's pretty fun. I've seen some people also think Nico is potentially on her way.
Ooh, Nico's a good one. Nico definitely is a good one. Imagine Nico's eye turn into any other subtype.
Oh,
I wonder how would that work though? Like, what
like
do you
she's
do?
Kecleon from Pokemon.
I think so, something like that.
That could work.
Look at this, preventing the Katarina level up. We don't have a way to buff her, so this is going to die unless we're able to use these Blade's Edge onto the 2/2, which we could, but we do have Absolver in hand. No champion level up, but I believe it still would give 1 HP, which would be just enough.
Yiloim's in an interesting position here. Either you burn the 2 Blade's Edge or the Blade's Edge and disintegrate,
yeah.
Blockling in front of you, or you use the Blade's Edge right now to kill the Aspiring Chronomancer, and that's what we'll do. and lose the Katarina instead. Annie is a little bit more valuable right now. However, with no Ravenbloom Conservatory on board or even in hand, you're hard pressed to find more value right now. You're almost kind of playing keep away at this point, I want to say.
Oh, just threw into Echo.
Oof. This is
With level up, 5 out of 4 predicts. We get the Chrono Breaks in deck. We have Absolver, so this is going to be a strong turn, but we do have Disintegrate, so I think that's going to be the counter for that.
Things aren't gonna improve themselves.
You know, funny enough, when it was standard ladder, and standard ladder was the main thing going around, Samira Fizz actively lost into Echo Jinx. It wasn't like a terrible disparity, but there was enough of a notable difference in win rates there that it made it difficult for these sort of Noxus-based lists to work up against. Now, of course, the idea of Fizz Samira versus Echo Jinx, or sorry, Fizz Samira versus Annie Katarina is a little bit different in their approach to gameplay styles, but I still think that the idea of we have these really low health, low cost, aggro or aggressive slanted units. I want to be very careful with my terminology here because it's a whole spider web. But you have these very aggressive units, right?
Yeah.
Aggressively slanted units that don't want to block. And what does Echo Jinx force you to do while being outside of Demacia? They rally and they force you to block. And so that's where you're running into these issues with burning the Absolver onto the Aspiring Chronomancer. Little do they know, Yiloim has the second.
The flock is here. This is eternal. You have to worry about Ravenous. Oh man.
What say you to the price of 2 Ravenous Flock? I mean, I've already made that reference before, but I'm going to do it again because it's just again.
Isn't that SpongeBob?
No, it's Avatar: Last Airbender.
Okay,
how about also 2 copper pieces? I mean, that's the one that I'm referencing.
You know what's crazy? I think SpongeBob makes that reference too with what the heck is the Ghost Captain? The Captain Dutch, the Flying Dutchman.
Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, he's offering Mr. Krabs money to steal SpongeBob, and he like gives him away for like 2 cents. Right. Okay. Annie, what is Annie at? We have 0 out of not 0, freaking 5 out of 6 for Annie. Got a 5-3. 5-3 that cannot block. Good stat line, but the can't block always makes me nervous. Ooh, Aloof Travelers, here we go. What are we hitting? Voice of the Risen.
Okay. That was Anfitriao's biggest gambit or biggest piece in this exact moment to trade up into the entirety of Yiloim's board. Like 3 HP is now unattainable for them because they don't have the Voice of the Risen on board to buff these clocklings up, the augmented and the base clockling like. And now Yiloim levels the Annie, and things are slightly turning on their head to favor the Bandle City Noxus player here.
Oh, here we go.
Where there's fire, there's shivers!
Oh man, this is what took the whole damage? A full 10. Was that? Oh my gosh, we're at 8-8.
Wow.
Timbers is here. We have Broadbank Oncologist coming out. What are we getting? What are we getting?
Let us take a peek at life beneath the waves.
Ooh, tricky tentacle. Gonna go ahead and discard the Absolver. I like this play. You see your opponent only has 2 cards. It ends up getting the deny out. So either way, we got a card out. Oh my gosh. What can we draw into? Mystic Shot.
Wait, hold on. This is lethal. This is actually exactly lethal right now because of course Yiloim is forced into the block. No, it's not lethal because of Blade's Edge's Disintegrate.
Yeah. And I was gonna comment that I love the fact that Yi has been choosing the more slow-paced answers to deal with the board rather than jumping the gun and just using Disintegrate Blaze Edge, because the Disintegrate Blaze Edge combo being at fast speed is very, very important tool to deal with something that's going on in combat that you can't utilize like the Pie Toss for when that's a slow spell. So in this case, we're gonna see these units buff. The overwhelm's gonna go through. It's gonna be -1. Mystic Shot would be lethal. Do we take the Disintegrate Blaze Edge? We have to. I hope so. There it goes.
So disintegrate. You have to play the Blade's Edge first, though, just for the ordering, right? Or wait, no. Yeah. They played a little bit backwards. There you go. What?
There we go.
Which? There you go. There you go. Yiloim. They found it out. I was so worried that Anfitriao was going to be throwing the absolver onto the double absolver onto Clockling, and that just opens it up entirely to that unit being removed with the absolver right away, or the disintegrate right away. And so
oh man. Here's the thing, right? We're still going on 4 HP. So another top deck Mystic Shot will do it.
It all falls down.
you have to hope on that specifically. That or a time trick. I think a time trick would be.
Yeah, time trick would be pretty nice.
Surprised that they don't
right
push
now,
Blade Surge though, because they take more damage actually by using the Death Lotus there to remove the Contrologist, because the overwhelm goes through it, and you take an extra point of damage for no reason.
Yeah. We only had 2 absolvers. Those are gone. There are 3 time tricks. There are 3 mystic shots. Oh, it's Jinx! It's Jinx!
Wow. But we have to use Mystic Shot here to remove the unit.
Oh my gosh. And then Broadway comes down and just kills Jinx. Can we live if we don't block? Not don't block. If we only block one unit, we don't fire the Mystic Shot. No, because Annie does what? I believe deals 3? No, 2. I believe it's deal 3 to my blocker and 3 to the Nexus if I'm not gone. Oh gosh.
This is like. Okay. So here's the thing, right? Jinx gets played. You have Mystic Shot to follow up to kill the Annie to make sure that this gets a blocker, but you're still dead at -9.
Yeah, you're still dead.
Oh,
It's kind of like a checkmate situation. Oh, we needed that Jinx so much earlier. But really well played by Yi, utilizing all the removal that was available to really pick off the board. Not like getting the Echo level up, great. Not being able to swing by Echo to get that predict to possibly find the Chrono Break or the Jinx earlier, hurt. And we saw how much like simple as that, right? We had other answers, and the thing is, now that we're in Eternal with Ravenous Flock, buffing that Echo doesn't matter. Buffing a different unit doesn't matter. As you're at 4 HP and you're hurt, guess what? The birds are coming and they're pecking at you. Don't care if it's a sway deck or not. It's coming. You have to worry about it. It's such a strong card, and we see why. If we're really thinking about it, what mid-range decks are really running around right now? Are there any, Kai?
Consider Nasus Thresh mid-range.
You consider it? Okay. Yeah, I can see it. It's I feel like it's kind of like a pseudo aggro type beat. But yeah, I can see that because I know the other mid-range that we really saw pop off when Eternal, everything was swapped over. Ash LeBlanc, that's a deck that dies to Ravenous Flock, right? Elites, I feel like is another one. I would feel like definitely Alawi. Alawi, I want to say,
totally.
Devastated by Ravenous Flock if you get some hits in. So we're not really seeing those, but we're seeing a lot of the aggro, a lot of the control. Basically, I feel like it's aggro versus control right now, or like aggro versus aggro. Like who's racing who's controlling who? We're gonna have to find out.
Yeah, I mean, funny enough, when I was for my notes that I was writing for earlier, just looking at play rates overall, I wrote down on the side of my notes okay, Thresh Nass is kind of like a combo mid-range deck. The next 3 lists are aggro burn with Poppy Ziggs, Annie, Jin, Draven, Scion in terms of popularity. And then the next 3 decks, which I didn't write down their names, are control archetypes, but most notably, a lot of these new best decks are archetypes we've already recognized just being made stronger by fresh cards. Like how Cat Annie, which kind of was a bit of a the Norris Swain stuff, but better at the time because of able to do much more aggressively, is now a better conservatory deck because of Pytos. You have Set Trundle, which is one of those control decks in there. And it's just that unstoppable combo with the pillar into old timer, and so now you just have a leveled trundle, an old timer with double attack, and a vulnerable unit just hitting you in the face. So there's a lot of there's a lot of interactivity going on there. Trustiano against Mega Bros. I believe this looks like game 2.
I'll say, yeah, it looks like game 2, I want to say. We got Annie, Jin versus Jax on. Jin is in hand. Always good to have Jin in hand. Don't really have any units. We're at 17 HP for Trust. Like this is around the time that, as the Annie Jin player, you want to already have kind of like have your opponent at that lethal range, or at least like close to it. But with Freljord, we're healing. We have the units to block everything. We're doing A-okay. Only at 9. Oh, we had double Jin in hand.
Wow. And we'll use it as well to make sure that we can have the spell available for next turn, just giving one pass for Jin to play. Now, funny enough, the second bounce that Jin gets deals 4 damage, and so that would have removed Hearthblood Mender on the board there. Hence the reason why we use the Forge with no weapon. Donnie is found? Oh boy.
No, Donnie, okay.
Oh boy, you
I
can't.
feel like I'm watching Path of Champions now. Daddy's a notable card in the Path of Champions version of, I believe, Annie and possibly Jen.
Really? Huh.
Oh, that's so cool.
Look at this. Already 2 damage of burn. Gonna get a unit low. We don't have overwhelm, right? So we can jump block these. I think Danny probably stays on board. Jin is currently close to leveling up. I can see the arrows up there.
Passing this initiative also means that Trustiano is allowed to play a unit, so we do get Combat Cook on board. And we do. Is this a level Jin? No, it's not. I mean, it's not level before the attack goes through. Fully.
Yeah, I think it's leveled on attack. But even then, the 5/6 would block.
Yeah, I don't think it goes any other way. Like Jin just sits back, right? Whoa.
Unless we're getting a stun through. If we're getting a stun through, it might be worth it.
We're not. So we get 2 more to Jin, which stuns for next turn's attack. So this. Oh wait, if they have fervor, if Mega Bros has fervor in hand, that actually stuns out the combat cook.
You'll ruin the work.
Okay, I see it.
So this could be the incorrect block from Trustiano based off of fervor.
Yeah. Look at you.
Oh my gosh.
With the level up, Jin stays on board. Oh, that's such a minor thing, Kai. It's such a minor thing.
The Jin stays alive thanks to fervor. Oh?
Okay, I'm wanting to keep. Oh no, it still deals 4. Yeah, now that it's leveled up, it's 4.
I think because this. Oh, that's interesting. I thought it was because the skill was developed. It does 2.
Because, oh, it does 2. Okay.
It's because the skill was developed before Jin leveled up. So the skill doesn't change based if it's after Jin.
Oh, true. Yes. Okay. Makes sense.
It's such a weird interaction though. Like.
Yeah, because that happens with. Okay. Yeah, makes sense because that happens with Annie too when she swings.
Correct.
You have to like do it very specifically. You have to level her up before the skill actually gets on the stack.
Timing is everything. Moving into sight.
Jax here, overwhelm. Is this enough? I think the overwhelm's enough. Yeah, it is. There we go. Overwhelm comes through. That was looking scary.
It looked a little scary. I mean, we had double Jin in hand, but at the end of it, Annie Jin running into the same issue that it always has, and that is specifically in hand size. Once you've played out all these really cheap units and these spells that you want to be able to get to then turbo level your Jin and get those extra points of burn in, you're out of hand. Like there's nothing left in your hand. And so when Freljord is able to stall you out like it was in that round, and I'm sure that Trustiano is going to do or has already done, depending on what game we're running into next. You know, you're out of luck. You know, draw, you top deck and Noxian Pervert, maybe you get the stun, but
Yeah.
it's like
It's tough. It's tough. Like, and mind you, like I like Jin Annie. I liked it in Thoric when it was like kind of pop off. I was playing it a lot. We do get to see it run back with Omega Puros, and we get to look at this again. Soraka time.
Oh.
What are we banning that Soraka time Kench keeps coming through? I need to look now.
well,
what is spooky?
Hmm.
Kindred Viego maybe? I haven't seen Kindred Viego yet.
Well, what's Mega Puros running that?
Mega Puros. Let's see.
Is it Draven Jinx?
Yeah, Draven, Jinx, Annie Jin, and then the Gang Fake Misfortune, Twisted Fate, so private aggro.
I think you take away the discard aggro in that matchup.
Look at this!
This is a much better hand from Mega.
Much better. This is the kind of hand you want. You have your 1-drops, you have your Annie. Annie's already close to leveling up. That's 4 out of 6, 1 more swing, and we have Jin in here? Like, come on, that's the perfect hand. This deck is fast, and right, although Soraka Sam Kench, right, has the ability to heal these units, challenge these units, well, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a challenge onto the Annie. There we go.
Destroy the child. Get that off the board.
Destroy the child. Get out of here. Ooh, okay, the Witness.
It's an interesting inclusion, but I dig it.
It works because once you're able to get that flow off, right, it's cheaper. So I think it ends up being it goes from what I want to say 4 to 2 mana. 2 mana 3/3 that stuns.
That's pretty good. You're only running 1 copy of the Witness in this list specifically. Again, with your focus being on 3x for 3x Decimate. So,
What
tough
do we
board
do here? Very tough board. Because Jin is currently at 1 out of 3. So we are for sure getting the stun through. It's going to stun the 2/2, I believe, Fortune Croaker.
Yep.
Wow,
Good
look
God.
at this. Look at this.
Holy moly, dude. Now, funny enough, because Jin's skill was played before his shot skill goes through, the Fortune Croaker doesn't die because the shot goes first. There's nothing stunned, and then it gets stunned afterwards. It's just a little bit of like it makes sense, but it's just sometimes with those ways that the stack lines up for you.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite work in your favor. Oh man, I've had that experience several times with Jin.
Now, no, almost definitely. Like you have to swing like in a very particular manner, depending on like where your champions are with their level up, or like especially with Jin, like where it is on the stack. Like, okay, are you at 2 skills procs? Are you at the whole 3 the procs at? Ooh, I like this.
Whoa.
Using the vulnerable, getting the heals off, gonna go ahead and take off 2 units. We do have 2 guiding touches in hand, and we have a hush. So next round, I believe, I think we might have enough mana for all of them. Let me see. We're at 6. No, a little bit short.
We have 7 mana. We have enough.
Oh, we have 7. Okay, we have 7. Oh yeah, we make 1. Okay, good. Yep, there it goes. Immediate hush. Say no, 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 no level up, no shooting things, no stunning. I'm good.
Still a 4/4 though. That's the other problem.
Yeah, it's still a good stat line. Like we're not trading anything. We 100% still spring. Ooh, Draconic Band skipping out the healing.
I think we're blocking Jin with Soraka, and then blocking the Witness with the, or you know, other way around. I'm surprised we didn't go for that. Yeah, I was gonna say we block the other way around, or even remove the Boom Crew Rookie because it's the guaranteed damage. But then that takes you down to 3, which is then a Noxian Fervor range, so you have to kill the Witness.
That's tough. Because the thing is, the Brawlback Protector is gonna die now. We're not gonna be able to get. This is gonna be the last round of healing we're gonna get. Is it? How many are we at? 2? Yeah, it heals for 3. I think it dies here, if I'm not mistaken.
5 HP.
Wow,
If this
look
kid
at
wasn't
that.
silenced, this was
Decimate.
lethal.
This was lethal.
Oh.
Can we still make it even with 2 guiding touches? There goes the level up.
Man, I mean, we'd have to find a way to win, and we'd have to find that right now. I think that your best option is to, well, okay, we get the heal, which is good. We play the Tahm Kench, and then we have to hold the mana for Guiding Touch. Or go for the Soraka's Wing first. Attack passing, I understand.
Listen, attack passing is great. Definitely one of my favorite things to do.
You pass.
Oh, so
The attack token.
Tahm Kench, okay. We can eat Jin.
We could.
But like, if this is a top deck decimate, it's a wrap. This is death.
Excuse my
Could be, if it is Fervor as well, Megaparos thinks they have lethal with an open attack on Boom Crew rookie into Fervor.
Oh man, oh man. Yeah, it's totally Fervor.
You are better than this.
Okay, we're at 2.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh. Heals, okay.
Not even gonna be messing
Fortune
around.
Croaker, okay.
What's in store for me?
More drawing.
I need time for commune talk. This you know.
This is so scary. Holding a breath. What is it? Forever. Oh, that was
Wow.
top deck.
That was
That was the top. That wasn't whatever the last card is. Doesn't even bother. The heal goes on 1. Oh, it's a Doom Beast!
my
The Doom Beast!
we're still at 1 HP. Like this is an incredibly close match. Megaparos is pushing for everything that they can here, and they are just being so narrowly staved off by Trustiano right now. But that is a problem, right? Trustiano
Wait.
is going to be running into so much burn. You could be running into, I don't know, another Doom Beast next turn. There could be a Fervor top deck. Hell, even a Pirouette is going to kill us.
Yes! Yeah,
If
there's
we,
2 of the
if
2
we
in the
go
deck.
for an open attack. But it doesn't matter what we do if we go for an open
God.
attack. We have to hope that this Soraka draws us healing. And it doesn't. There is so much burn in Megaparos' deck. They can take this 12, laugh in Trustiano's face, launch that burn card at their face.
Yeah,
here.
there it goes.
It's the Pirouette. Why?
Oh,
I am 3
man.
guarantees in life, like I said last cast.
Oh, man.
Death, Taxes, and Caster's Curse. Every single one of them comes for you if you play here at the Lancers Media and Entertainment Tournament.
Listen, you called some stuff tonight. There are days that I'm calling it. There are other days that you're calling. We just say it. Boom. There we go. Oh, man.
I've been reading the script right here, so that's
No, not the script. The whole tournament planned out. Every player a paid actor. we've hacked the decks where it's always the draw that we need. We're sticking to the script.
because of some of the players were like an off-brand of Hollywood, but it's in Brazil, so it's Brazilywood.
Not
That's-
Brazilian word. What?
Yeah, I don't know. That was a bit of a stretch.
All right. Now, here's the thing. You know what's
That's true.
crazy?
It could be from Rio.
That broad main turn. The turn where we could have kept the broad main alive depending on how we block, but I don't think we had the luxury. But if we did, that would have been extra healing, and we would have had the extra health at the end. I just don't know if we could have though, right? Because we had to block the Jhin, even though the Jhin was hushed and didn't have quick attack. We had to block for sure. Soraka has that. But now it's like, do we block the? I think we didn't opt to block the 1/1. I believe we blocked the 3/3 instead to
we
kill it.
blocked
That put us on 2. It's a hard choice. Because it's like, I would have loved to have gotten greedy and kept the broad back. I just don't think we could. I'm gonna have to look that back. I have to look at it.
When your opponent is running a deck that has so much guaranteed burn to face, I don't think you're really given the space within to say, oh, I can go for a greed block here because they won't be guaranteed to draw their burn next turn. It's like, I'm trying to think of a card. It's like, okay, let's say that Fizz is sitting at 0 mana, right?
Okay.
and they're down to 2 cards in hand, and you want to kill the Fizz because the Fizz is going to kill you if it's not going to work. You have to think like the odds of them having warning shot specifically in this deck are very narrow. I think those are situations in which like you can kind of make those calculated risks based off of an informed decision, right?
Mhm.
But when it comes to a burn list, which is running 3 decimates, that's 12 damage to face, running 3 Noxian Fervors, which is another 9, so that's 21 between 2 spells, and then 2 pirouettes to then add another 2 on top of that for 23 points of burn in spells alone.
Oh, that's
Not counting any of the
insane.
units.
That's insane.
You can't say, "Oh, I should have blocked more greedily because my opponent's not going to have burn." That's insanity. You're not. You can't try and make yourself those guarantees, and you have to deal with what is on the board at the moment to try and stave off and hopefully go for some other late game thing, like drawing into another broadback protector. That would have been way better for Trustiano.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen.
Oh man, these are some tough matches. I think the Soraka's Tom Kitch, I think, can definitely hold its own. I think that, what would you say is the fastest aggro? I want to say it's Annie Jin. Like, I feel like I've seen Annie Jin really like just take off sometimes with the perfect hand where they're doing like up to 8 damage to you on like turn 3. I want to say that that's the fastest aggro deck.
Yeah, as far as aggro matchups, yeah. I was thinking of pre-nerf trusty Ramhound. I saw a clip.
Okay, true. Because the Elites was doing nutty things. That was nutty things with the Elites. It's the freaking Cythria that gets discounted. Freaking 0 cost. It's like, hold up.
Vanguard Squire. Yeah.
The Vanguard Squire, freaking Cythria, like Cythria being a whole Squire. Man, that was a time.
If you have the perfect hand, for those of you who don't know, Trusty Ramhound used to be an elite unit. The card currently reads, when you summon an elite, grant me +2/+2. And so there was a clip that I saw, and then also Vanguard Squire. Every time you play an elite, it's a 3 mana 3/3. Every time you play an elite, reduce my cost by 1. So if your opening hand is exactly 3 Trusty Ramhounds and 2 Vanguard Squires, you play Ramhound on 1.
Yeah.
On turn 2, you get the attack token. You play Ramhound on 2, Ramhound as your 3rd unit, and then those 2 other Vanguard Squires that you've drawn into are now 0 mana. So then you play both of those for another pair of 3/3s, and you swing for 15 damage on turn 2. It's just, I think that is probably the most damage that I have seen done by turn 2, but I wouldn't exactly qualify Elites as an aggro deck just in terms of its play style as it goes later on, but maybe I'm misqualifying things. I always thought of aggro as being like, we just jam units with impact. We jam units that have like extra burn on top of things. I always think of like Legion Saboteur as an aggro unit, for example.
Yeah,
not
definitely.
like Battlesmith, you know?
Yeah, it's like more subtle. It feels like more rangery. Kai, I think we've made it. I think this is now finally the end of the Eternals tournament. We have reached the finals. And for the final top 2, we have Mega Pearls versus Yiloim, and then for the 3rd place and 4th place match, it's going to be Trustiano and Anfitriao. Those are some players. I wish we could like just put them side by side, just watch them, just start casting them at the same time. Once the players are ready, we're definitely going to go into that finals match. Let's take a quick look at their decks, right? I enjoyed, if you recall, Kai, Yiloim was the person who brought the Bard Akshan deck. That was some spice. I really enjoyed that. Glad to see they're in the tournament. They're thriving. They're coming up, getting top 4 again.
Was I here for that week? There were a couple of weeks where I wasn't here, so I might have missed that.
Maybe, not sure. I'll have to verify. I think you may have been.
I'm just old and my dementia's finally settling in. So.
No.
Where am I? Who are you? What am I doing?
Listen, Runeterra. That's all you need to know.
Oh, okay. Oh, I know this game. Hey, Legion Saboteur on 1. That's a really good card for Annie Jin, because that, if you don't have a blocker, guarantees you 3 damage to face and accelerates that win condition so much more quickly. Thankfully, Yiloim, they do have the Forsaken Bakai available to block it. But it'll be a bit of an uphill battle here for that player.
Are we leaning?
Oh, wait.
Were we leaning towards the 9
2? Oh my gosh, Yiloim's hand is disgusting.
Oh no, that is a nasty hand for turn 2 Noxious Thresh.
Oh my stars. Wow.
Ready to see 7 damage, Kai?
I'm so ready. Everyone grab your popcorn. Get out your little foam fingers.
Okay, Tusk Speaker is a good block.
Okay, well, it's only 3 damage now, I guess, but like.
I mean, listen, that's a whole trade, right? Any Jin needs to keep units on the board to start swinging with. This is the Shadow Isles aggro package. Takes the full hit.
Take the damage. Okay, I understand why. And it's because you want to be able to spread your damage out on this anti-Jin deck specifically. Because if you're not doing that, then you're just kind of losing in these trade matchups. You're giving the Slay stacks to Nasus. You're making it a big threat on that turn 6 when it comes down eventually. And so being able to then try and push this advantage with this Overwhelm unit by trying to punch through HP, which you're only getting 1 damage as it is right now. Okay, it's still a better threat than it is trying to block a freely generated 4/3, especially when Nasus Thresh typically doesn't have overhead to deal with.
Yeah, that's true. Well, all you really have is Atrocity. That's about it. You don't have anything else. Everything else, there's no blocks unless. I know some variants are running Zolani. I know I came across that. I was just like, hold up. First off, why do you have Overwhelm? Why are you here? Get out of here. Leave.
Why do you have Bloodletters in this deck?
Why is there blood? It makes sense. It makes sense.
It does. It gives you more last breath procs. It gives you a unit to attack with and possibly slay. It's like I think Bloodletters is a very good card in this shell specifically. Some people might think it clutters up your deck a little bit too much. So, you know, to each their own. A second Nasus is found, by the way, and that's going to be a big dog when it comes down.
Look at this swing. Just taking the 8s. The 8s. 8. That's so much damage. And like now we're dealing our damage to ourselves because of Tusk Speaker. We're going down to 3.
Hoping that they can win this out faster, but I don't know if they can. I'm gonna hold my comments until then, because being at 4 HP against a deck that has an Nasus, that has Fearsome, that then forces blocks out of your units, on top of forcing blocks otherwise with your units, seems rather unwise, especially when they're running Atrocity at the top end. You play Nasus becomes big. You play, this is a hate spike into a Vile Feast, 100%. So this damage that Tusk Speaker is doing is only dealt to itself.
Elusive.
Oh, and it's an elusive Nasus? Get out of here! Oh my gosh. Excuse me.
Oh man, that's just game. Is that game? I want to say that's game.
Yeah.
Like Nasus gonna come down.
Hey,
10-10 already, turn 6.
It's a 10-10!
We've been slaying. We've been slaying. Like that's the thing. Like this particular deck into another aggro deck. Aggro wants to swing into you. As the Nasus Thresh player, you want to swing into them. You want to block everything. Yeah. Give me your units. Let me eat them. I'm gonna kill them. Like that was an on curve level Nasus. What do you do? What do you do?
I think another thing that makes that deck extremely efficient, not only in being able to block out that aggro matchup by having a lot of units available to it, like we saw with the Cursed Keeper into the Ravenous Butcher combo, but also another thing that I feel is really underrated, or possibly rated pretty well but not talked about nearly as much as I think it should be, is Hate Spike. Hate Spike slays your unit and slays an enemy unit. That's
true. True. That is +2
for 2 mana. For Nasus, that is insanely good. Now here's a bit of a shift in gears for Yiloim. Playing now the Draven. Hold on.
Samira.
What flavor? What flavor of Draven are we on today?
Samira Scion.
Oh. Okay.
Now, what are your thoughts on the synergy between Samira and Draven? Because I've been reading around. I know some people were saying that's like pretty broken, given that it's a free card that just you could just go ahead and proc onto Samira. Like not only are you not able to give her a challenger, but with Draven you're able to buff her to a certain power degree that you need to challenge a unit and kill it.
Yeah, I see it. I also think that Samira is able to create a token that Draven can discard, or any of the other cards can discard. So if you don't have anything good in your hand, hey, there's a free flare that you can get rid of that Samira generates for free on strike anyway. a lot of like good burst options overall in case you haven't had enough discard fodder. But you have Reborn Grandeur, Boom Baboon, Lost Soul. You even have survival skills in this list. So if you're not finding discard targets, you're just getting extremely unlucky. That's all I can say about that.
And
A
luckily we
great
have
opening turn though.
a
for
great
Mega
opening
Bros.
turn. And luckily we do have one of the, I want to say, if not the best discard tool, which is Lost Soul, right? You're able to discard it. Kind of recycles itself. It turns into Twin Blade Revenant. Play turn, wait, limit, last breath, goes back as a Lost Soul. So it's kind of like a nice, good cycle for your discard tools.
Mystic Shot saving ourselves 2 HP there. Also preventing the Annie from sticking on board for too much longer. Draven is played immediately. And that Spinning Axe could potentially go into the Reborn Grenadier to force 7.
Oh, Sunhawk.
Here. Sunhawk is a great find though.
Great find. This is, we're racing 15 to 19. Like the thing is, we have options. Oh, we just drew into Samira as well.
Okay. The
Crimson
one of
Pigeon.
Samira, by the way.
Oh, only one of. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Blowback
man.
deals with this board pretty handily, but we do lose our turn for it.
Let me see. Describe search who. Oh, and the enemy. Okay, so it's not a choice. You're always hitting an enemy and the nexus.
Correct.
Okay.
Death is transient, as long as the body holds.
Draw
Yeah,
a
it's
unit.
not. It's not. I think that's like the kind of drawback that it has compared to Shock Blast is that it's not dealing 3 to 2 units. But honestly, I don't think aggro cares.
Yeah.
Like you want to be doing the burn anyway.
Check this out, Kai. Our opponent swings. We Draven Axe the Legion Grenadier, Reborn Grenadier. We use Whirling Death to kill another unit while we're blocking the Sunhawk, which is a 2/3, so Draven lives. We level up Draven. Next turn, we go crazy.
Don't ask for permission.
Never mind, we're going Samira.
Yeah. How how dare you have a really good line thought out there? It didn't happen. No, I like your idea quite a bit. It's just so funny to see. Immediately shut down. I think Yiloim actually just wants to play for the second Draven in hand to try
That's
and
true.
knock the champions out now.
Is this your best?
In fact, we might just trade the Samira. You're taking the same amount of damage no matter what you block there, though. That doesn't change anything.
Because I mean, at least Samira can like challenge something and start picking off, but like we are sacrificing our HP for this, and it's risky going down. Like we already know how much burn is in the anti-Jin deck, not only with his units but with its spells.
Personally, not a fan of going down to 8 HP in exchange for a Samira who has ways to get progress to level up, but then has to level up and then rally again after that. It's just, it's too many actions for my liking given over to Mega Bros to then take this turn out. I honestly would have rather blocked the extra 2 damage anyway, because we might as well use the discard sort of synergy that we have going in hand. Like we have the axes, we have the Reborn Grenadier, we have the blowback and all this. Like actually start using our hand and saving our HP so that we have the maximum amount of actions that we possibly need to win this game. But I don't know, this option feels like it's trying to play for a longer game, and I don't
Not sure if we have
think
the
that
time.
Mega Bros is going to be giving them that. Yeah.
I mean, we have options, right? We can kill this Jin, give Samira the Challenger. We can discard Reborn Grenadier, discard some other things. So Jin can definitely die this round. Draven, regardless, blocks the 3/2. Samira blocks the 2/2. So we have blockers for next round as well. We actually might even be playing some units.
Now we're cooking.
Don't want the third Draven.
Yeah, I think we're about to do it.
Okay, your plan is correct here.
Now, what do you think about this nerf to Samira where they made it where only she can challenge? I feel like it's a good one. I feel like it fits thematically. Sorry, because you want her she wants to be in the fight.
If she's not handing her weapons over to other people, that's her gun or
Yeah.
sword or whatever.
Gun sword.
Playing Monster Hunter out here, have a gun lance available or something. along those
Basically.
lines.
Explosives primed.
Okay, we can still play a unit.
Blowback actually does save us pretty heavily here. We can even play the Zonite Urchin. I remember this time to take out one of our tokens that we generate, and we will to take out the Spinning Axe to make sure we get the
Survival
draw.
skills.
Survival skills is pretty nice. It saves Draven next turn from block.
Oh,
Are we just
Pinging?
leveling Samira right now?
we have time because it's only on when we get the attack token back.
That's
yeah, going
true.
for it right now.
You know what? Maybe I misjudged.
I mean, regardless, we can block with it, right, and then get another free player.
Oh yeah. Because the discard goes through before. I think Draven still gets the survival skills.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah, because he's more expensive.
However, well, Twin Blade Revenant into Zonite Urchin, but we might also want to play. Oh man, I think we're looking to play Blowback this turn. We want to try and remove Mega Paras's board right now.
Oh, drain spell.
A 6? Ugh.
I mean, now the last spell we have, Mega Paras has Forever Mana up, so we can let's say yes, it's in hand, right? That's a guaranteed 3. We don't have enough blockers, so I think we are gonna have to use the Zonite, possibly Zonite Urchin onto the Survivor skills. With the Draven Axe. But I feel like I know in some situations when you have a nice good board versus another good board, you want to use the Survivor skills to keep your entire board alive. In this case, we don't have the mana, so we're not going to be doing that. But we for sure need a blocker. Like, we cannot go get any. We basically can't reach 4. We have what, 5 blockers? Oh, Survivor skills. Yep, there we go. Goes on
I'm
to
surprised. Huh. Sorry, I interrupted.
How much does deal? No. It deals 1. Okay, so you discard and then it deals more. Oh.
Make the Empire proud.
What an insane final card to find here.
So we left on 2?
Make this
Never
Yeah.
mind. 3. 1. Exactly.
None?
So, yeah, 1.
1. There we go.
Oh,
I was
my.
wondering where that was going.
There we go. Kill everything aside from the 2-1.
This is gonna hurt for you.
Devalue the.
Oh, whoa, that's scary.
Whoa.
We got overwhelms to deal with.
Overwhelm's there. Yes. Put it back. Take it back.
Put that back where it came from, or so help me.
Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me.
What are you waiting for?
It's a great movie.
Oh.
Classic from the like early 2000s, late 90s.
Early. Damn, this is so tough. This would lead to a game 3 if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, because Yiloim won the first one.
Okay, so game 3. Possibly. I mean, having 2 blowbacks kind of sucks, but we do have discard power.
Would you say that having 2 blowbacks kind of blows?
I'm a sucker for puns. Ooh, rummage!
Oh,
Okay. Potentially draw something. Just
Rummage
15.
could find us decent fodder.
Like, I feel like now we kind of need to save the blowback for Adoxian forever.
Oh, I hate this hand. Yiloim does not have it. Yeah, no, you definitely need to say blowback for Noxian Fervor. There's no doubt about that. But if Mega Paras has Decimate, you lose. If they have Noxian Fervor, you're okay, but they have to commit it ahead of time. Yiloim has to make a decision here. The timer's running out. They play the Something Treasure down. So they're now out of the mana that they can play the blowback on. Just trying to play around the possibility of there being a Decimate and saying, you know what, I can't win against this. I have to go for face here. But Mega Paras could also have the Pirouette. There are just so many Ping.
I mean, we haven't played the pro way yet, so I'm assuming I'm inclined to say we don't have it. And as a matter of fact, I don't think we're blocking here, right? That's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's 14 with flare. No, now we're forced to block. We don't have a choice. Meanwhile, we are gonna get the challenge because what I was worried about was that we're just gonna swing and not challenge, which we absolutely need to challenge with the Legion Saboteur here being able to deal with ping 1. We're 2 off away from level up. Bringing our opponent down to 11. Is that it? Yep, there it goes. Noxian Forever. We're about to go to a game 3. That's tough. That's a tough match.
Let's face it, these people just
Yeah.
don't take.
I mean, aggro v aggro matches are the ultimate America Shards player thing. It's like if they have it, they have it. If they don't, I win this time.
I mean, you can only play around so much, right? I feel like in that case, if you didn't see your opponent play Decimate or the Pirouette, inclined to save the blowback mana. And blowback is a tricky card. I feel like it's nice, but like in that situation, just in particular, right? Both of them were dead cards, right? You need something to discard, kind of running low on your hand. You're not running Jinx, so like you can't really take advantage of the fact that you no longer have a hand. You really needed to probably draw into the Scion. I'm wondering if maybe blocking their Flea could have assisted potentially. It's tough. Like there's so much math that you have to consider. It's way too much. I think at that point it's like, listen, I'm swinging, you're swinging. Whoever swings for lethal swings for lethal. At this rate, it is what it is.
If I top deck the Fervor, I win.
Listen.
I think the line of thinking for that's not good. The dimension setting in. Okay. No, the line of thinking there for Yiloim was that if they have Decimate, I'm dead to Decimate if I don't swing for this attack and try to get a flare into a Noxian Fervor of my own. And if they have Noxian Fervor, I'm dead on the open action anyway, and I lose to 2 cards and not just 1. Especially
that
being
makes
a
sense.
There's like, you have to just try and swing and see what you have left, and just hope that there is nothing that is drawn into lethal there. And now we have the double aggro matchup. But I do believe, I do believe the Mega Paros is running a slightly different version. Yeah, so it's just Draven Jinx
Draven Jinx. Okay.
versus Samira Draven Scion. Same colors, same idea, slightly different execution between the two.
This is good though. We found the Samira early. Now we're gonna be able to, we can control the board, and I think that's really important in this case. Now we need to draw into our Mystic shots so that we can deal with this, challenger unit. It's gonna just control the board. We have good discard options. We got the monkey. Gonna be able to get into the flame choppers. A reborn grenadier into challenger.
Flame Choppers is there. Mystic Shot is available, but might want to save that for going to face. We could potentially play Boom Baboon here as well.
I can see boom boom boom.
So if we play Boom Baboon, Boom 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 gets pulled out of the way by Flame Choppers. So you have to pass. That makes sense. Yeah, have to pass because we want Samir to get pulled out of the way of that, and then do we use a Mystic Shot to heal for 3? Here on an ephemeral unit?
I feel like it's tough, like with the ephemeral unit, not so much. I feel like now we get the Draven going, we can start getting other units going. We have the Blair to challenge. I think we're Yi's right now in a good position. Even though on Fort has taken damage, I think the fact that we have board presence, it's really good.
Not jumping the gun there.
Even if Boom, now Boom Boom comes down, even if Mega Pros plays a unit, it's Jinx, we're bringing that to the side.
The crazy line here as well is Axe onto the Flame Choppers to buff Samira. Samira gets Challenger, kill Jinx. Hit for 5.
Okay, okay, okay. I like it. I see it.
The question is, does Yiloim think that's worth it? We might be doing that exactly.
There we go. There we go.
Of course, the only thing that counters us out, in quote marks, is Noxian Fervor. But
Oh, that feels so bad though.
feels terrible. I mean, you deny the flare, which is good.
Yes. Ah, Jinxes get excited.
Jeez.
Unfortunately, we're not able to use the ephemeral unit to block. But we keep Jinx, only 2 cards in hand, which means we are very close to level up. Mind you, we do have blowback in hand on Yi's side, so we are going to be able to discard up to 3 cards to deal with the Jinx. We do have to be careful of first level up.
It's just 2, I believe.
Come on, people. Let's make tomorrow today.
Oh, just 2?
Yeah, because it deals 1 damage. At
Oh yeah,
base, and then you
discard
get
up
plus
to
2.
Okay. So deals. So yeah, these 3.
Passing when you're playing these aggressive decks feels so terrible because you want to be able to develop your value engines, but when you're not able to, it's just very, very awkward.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm expecting a Jinx level up here. That's what I'm expecting.
You gonna say Rummage? Or what do you think? 3rd Jinx? Another Get Excited? That'd be spicy.
It would be. Like this one is the 1 mana pass is so tricky because like you don't want to do anything. Anytime I see someone like play 1 mana just to like on a turn that I know they need to do something, it was like, what are you doing? I see you. I know you're trying to pass on me without passing. It's all night our turn, okay.
Yeah, okay. Augmented Experimenter's drop, but yeah, not having the time to play it. We want to get that Jinx level up as quickly as possible, generate that rocket, draw a card, which then hits face and also removes the Boom Baboon as a blocker, so have to be forced to... Yiloim might be forced to use Sump Dredger on the Reborn Grenadier in order to have the blockers for this board specifically. In case Megaparos commits the rocket right away. Very narrow, very, very narrow. Windows of opportunity for either of these players to work with, and they have to know exactly when to use them.
Do we blow back 3 cards to deal 3 to the Jinx and Mystic Shot just to get it out the way? So we don't have to
you can't, I don't think you can discard more than 2. You have to discard. You can only discard up to 2 anyway. To get the 3 damage into the Mystic Shot. Like, I do like the idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
But man, it does not feel great to be finding ourselves where we are now. Megaparos putting on a ton of pressure with just this Jinx alone on board.
I guess maybe a simpler line would have also been to Survivor Skills the Draven. Because then at that point you could have just blocked on system or blocked with everything else.
Sure, yeah. Maybe we're saving the survival skills for another Get Excited or something down the line. Because we are main decking 2 in Megaparos' list.
Wow, didn't even swing.
I wonder what they were worried about there.
I think trading into an ephemeral.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Not having a good enough board to block with, because now you have 2 units to block with, so you're just safe for 2 turns. And if they develop a unit... Okay, I see it now that I'm talking about it more.
Like at this point, we're looking for Jinx again. That's what I would assume that we're looking for. We need another Jinx. Rummage, okay. Rummage is really good for you. We can possibly draw into our Scion, because now we want our big end game finisher.
I know that we're leaving a lot of space in between, but I think it's because you and I are doing the exact same thing. We're just trying to math out and figure out exactly how either of these players wins this. Now, the
second Jinx.
Second Jinx. Third Jinx, actually, because we remember...
Third Jinx? Oh, no, we used one. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we used one to remove Samira.
Yeah, we did.
I think the reason why we're doing so much math and like just thinking over the ways that these things work is, full disclosure, neither of us are aggro players.
We're not in any way, shape, or form. We are two control players watching aggro just beat each other up. You know what my solution is? An avalanche. I'm done. I play one card for 4 mana. Your field is wiped. I'm good to go. I don't care about anything. I don't need to do math. I just need to heal and kill things. I play Zombie Anivia. I have access to Withering Wail and Avalanche. Nothing else in this run matters. This right here is just lots of math. Trying to like. Just, what was that meme? There was the meme. Oh man, I have to find it on Twitter. It was so funny. It was like an aggro player versus control player. The reality of it, the aggro player is just like vibing, listening to music, jamming out, while the aggro player is like stressed out, sweating, trying to make sure not to die.
Yeah. I also bring that up because like earlier, Megaparos, after the blowback hit the Jinx, had like 4 1 health units on board. And I could just hear you in the distance, just kind of like frothing at the mouth at the idea of Withering Wail in that moment. Like,
listen, it's a 4 mana Withering Wail. Listen, oh man, where's the whale? Give it to me,
bro.
Just the Shadow Isles real quick. Now look at this. We don't get the survivor skills onto the Draven, unfortunately, because it procs first before the buff comes through.
Correct.
We're about to draw 3. Like we're drawing into our deck now. Now this is looking scary for Yi, right?
Even so, the use of the survival skills onto the Summon Treasure does a couple of things. It makes it so that Jinx can't attack. In fact, none of their units can attack right now. And this rocket doesn't kill the Summon Treasure on board. Yiloim, though, has the option right now, though, to discard the Rummage, play the Zonite Urchin, or use the Rummage to discard the Zonite Urchin and possibly find a better control tool.
Second vision!
Vision? Oh my god.
That's vision number 2.
That is just disgusting.
And vision isn't temporary. This is a permanent buff.
Rummage to find better tools. We get excited. Oh no, Yiloim.
That's death. That's game. That is GG. Megaparos takes the victory and is the #1 winner in the Eternals match. Like
don't mind that pause between #1 and winner. His brain is still doing the math.
My brain is like lagging right now so severely. Let me reboot. Okay, rebooted.
All right, rebooted. We're back. Hi, welcome to Lance's Legends of Runeterra tournament in the Eternal format. Hope you're all having a great evening today. We have some fantastic Legends of Runeterra that we've already shown you, actually. But
oh man,
what do you think of the matches that we've seen tonight? Did you see a lot of decks that we expected, or were there some things that you were missing sorely from this?
I was expecting aggro 100%, without a doubt. I was expecting a little bit more Poppy. Surprised not to see it, but not. Also, I guess not really. Draven's a fan favorite. Everyone's always loved Draven. Everyone's always loved Drink. The discard aggro archetype in relation to Noxus and Piltover is popular, right? You have many different variations of it that you can play. It's fun. I was definitely expecting more control. I would have loved to have seen a Nivea. You know what I haven't seen like in a hot minute? Feel the Rush, Tryndamere Trundle. Right? We're in Eternal. We have all the cards. I know that was always a deck that, you know, was being played, and especially against these aggro archetypes. You can either go the mana ramp version, although I feel like that's a bit greedy, and I feel like decks are really fast right now. I'm not sure if that's capable of it, but you can even just go the full control option, right? You have Withering Wail, you have the avalanches, you have the healing. It could be done, and you have a really nice endgame finisher. She Who Wanders is available now, so obliterate anything below 4 power. Option.
That's true.
So I was definitely expected aggro. Would have loved to have seen a little bit more control, but regardless, you know, a lot of different options, right? I feel like right now we're kind of seeing the Gnosis Thresh is kind of like this is the deck you play if you want to beat aggro, because it can match it, right? And we saw what happens when it matches it, right? Turn 6, 10-10 Gnosis on curve. We're good to go.
You got elusive just to add insult to injury.
Just add elusive. Don't mind that. Don't mind that. Just, you know how it is. Husk are doing what Husk do. congrats to all the players who played today. Really appreciate it. I don't know if y'all heard that. My cat just jumped into the window and then fell down. I feel bad.
I heard a
He's
little
okay,
bit of
though.
a thud there. Yeah.
So Yi didn't, I don't believe, got top 1 last time. I'm gonna have to double check, but got somewhere this time. Was in the top 4 for sure. I do recall that. Played wonderfully. We ended up seeing Trust. We ended up seeing Anti. We ended up seeing Mega Feroz. So it's really nice to see all these players get up here, playing their games, seeing what their game plans are. We saw Soraka Tom Kench all the way up to top 4. It made it to top 4. So that was really nice to see. Other than that, I think it was a good run. Now, for those of you who don't know, I have a little bit of announcement. In terms of our tournaments for the month of June, we are planning on having a championship match. So the people who got top 4 for this tournament automatically qualify to buy in for the championship series that's going to be at the end of the month. These tournaments aren't just for a little bit of cash. They're for a little bit of cash and a spot, which will get you into the championship series, which will end up having a bigger prize pool. So keep a lookout. Make sure to bring your decks. Make sure to come every week for the tournament and try to win so you can be qualified. Further details are going to come out down the line once we're a little bit closer to the date. Now, do we have an option for the interview with the individual who has won? Sadly not. Okay, that's all right. Congrats. We saw some good Runeterra today. And even memes, not necessarily memes, but we saw spice, I'll say. We have timelines. Timelines is always really fun to see what units we brought out. We didn't get really a chance to see maybe the Viego Kindreds or some of the other decks that are kind of on the outskirts. I saw a few Targon variants that were kind of running around. Zoe, Aurelion Soul, really nice to see.
Yep.
But yeah.
I was happy to see Talia Ziggs in here. I also liked seeing the Nora timelines, the mono Nora timelines. For those of you who don't know what that one does, specifically that one is trying to play Banana Blaster as just a funny little 4-drop in there.
So funny.
It's so goofy, man. I have hit Ancient Crocolith off of that more times than is probably legal, which is really funny. Because it is a 4-mana 7/7, so it's a 7-mana shot to anything. It's super effective at countering Jace decks back when everyone remembered Jace. By the way, Jace is still strong. Jace Lux is a good deck.
Oh, true. Jace Lux. Have you been playing it? We haven't. I feel like I haven't seen any.
I've been trying to just grind standard lately, even with Eternal. Trying to get to Masters again, but.
Get some ass, let's go. I've been playing Eternal just because I missed the Nivea with all my great big heart, and it's been fun. I'm hoping some more control players come out the woodworks. Hopefully we get some different variants. I feel like there has to be something different, right? I know the classics are always available, the Tryndamere, the I know Karma set, I know Trundle set. Trundle set was something, and I was seeing that. I played against that as an Nivea player. I was like, this is painful. I can't do anything. They're out ramping me. Everything's big. Why are they leveled up on turn 5? What was I doing wrong? I guess I did something wrong. I don't know. It was fast. I see why it was rotated. It makes complete and utter sense.
Yeah, having just those kind of bam insta-win cards against a lot of archetypes was the reason it was rotated, but for now, still happy to see all of the cards back in action and all of these old archetypes kind of coming back and being yeah, that's way stronger now, or that was still a good deck back before the patch came through. I think that's something we should potentially be seeing in the next couple of weeks of Runeterra is people going back even further into previous tournaments that we had before the Eternal rotation.
Yeah.
And bringing back some of these really strong archetypes. For example, we didn't see Deep at all today. And usually we saw Deep paired with Darkness and Jaceheimer, a triple SI lineup. And if everyone's playing this much aggro, I would not be surprised to see that next week or in other tournaments that I'll probably be playing this weekend myself, just to kind of get a feel for the whole tournament scene over the next few days.
True. For those of you that don't know, quick announcement. ABG is having their very, very first tournament this Sunday. You could go ahead and join their Discord. It's currently being ran by We the Peoples. Shout out to We the Peoples. A great member of the community who was hosting tournaments back when before Dances started. Pretty sure you've seen me and Kai casting for those. Fabulous fun. So it's great to see him back in business, and we get to see what they have in store for us. Now,
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone again for playing. Congratulations, Mega Pearls, for getting first place. Congratulations, Yi, for second. And I do see now that Antrophy got third and Trustiano got fourth. Great, great, great players. Love to always see you guys perform what decks you bring. I'm really hoping that next week it's going to be like a whole shift. That there's just going to be a completely different set of decks being brought. I really want to see like just a mess.
It's the power of Eternal. I'm bringing I will say that I am bringing some piles this weekend. I'm just testing decks out. So
Listen,
I hope it rubs off on people.
I'm literally going to be playing the same deck every single time. Zombie and Divot, that's it. I've made like 3 different versions already. That's all I care about right now.
Heck yeah. Hope you do well with that.
All right, y'all. Thank you again. I'm going to bid you all a good night. This is IDCxElite signing out along with SojournerKai. See you next week.